What is happening? Shows how little you know politics.
Choose your destiny.
You can go left, or you go right. You can go forward, but never ever back.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Good evening, my little one. I shall make you psychotic.
Mommy, what does psychotic
I'm not on Facebook. I want to hear your thoughts.
Choose your destiny.
You can go left, or you go right. You can go forward, but never ever back.
Doesn't look like we're on any of the Facebook pages tonight. Why?
Yeah. Woke up. I ain't feeling your side. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? KCE. King Chaka.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, an educated public cannot be controlled. Learn to be active. The views and events expressed here are totally whacked and are not necessarily the views of anyone. ¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien, bien. Podemos ayudarnos más si se puede. And don't take my word for it. Look that mess up, please. We're not on Facebook tonight, it looks like. I've got a check mark on my end, but I don't think we're on though. I want to try to fix it, but I don't want to waste the time. So, can y'all hear me? Okay, y'all can hear me clear on YouTube. What the hell is going on with Facebook? They hating on me? Wait, it does say I'm on Facebook. So it must be one of the pages I'm not on or something. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to waste my time on it. Facebook be tripping anyways. Screw Facebook. I don't really get any views on Facebook anyways. Bunch of old people. Y'all need to get with the times and get on a new app. Facebook is dead and don't even know it and shit. Anyways, we're coming through on Rumble. Let me double check that. It looks like we're good on Rumble. And we're good on the 2 YouTube pages. We're streaming to Twitch, which I don't really get much coverage there. And we're on Twitter also. Yeah, hold on. Let me refresh my Twitter page. Double check that. Yeah. Yeah, we're on there too. Okay. All right. The name of the show today is Crazy Year Coming. I wanted to try to think about doing like a year end type of show, whatever, because I think this is the last show of the year. Yeah, the calendar year, anyways. I mean, we don't want to get into that. We've talked about it in previous shows. It's like, how could the new year be? I mean, out of all the places you can choose to start the year, right in the middle of winter doesn't really make much sense. Not to me, anyways. Um, the spring should be the beginning of the year, if you ask me. And people can celebrate that all around the world, you know, at the same time or whatever. Anyways, I have a clip on that too because what's his name? I can't think of names anymore. It's like I don't know, ever since I've been doing the show, it's like my memory, I can remember a lot of stuff, but people's names just completely slide out of my brain. Like it'd be the simplest stuff that there's no more room left in my brain for it. I don't know. It is what it is. How y'all feel tonight? How y'all feel about this past year? You know, as far as politics, the reason why I said crazy year coming is we got a presidential we're in a presidential cycle, and at the end of this year, this one that's coming, we'll have a new president or you know a reelected president. One or the other is going to happen. And you could pretty much guarantee it's going to be a crazy ride. We've already had a crazy ride, you know, and it's only going to get crazier as we get closer to the election. It always kind of does. Election years are always kind of crazy, but this was going to be one for the books. This one's going to be one for the books. And you best to believe we will be here on this show covering all of the craziness. Politics is like my sports. I don't really watch sports. I just, it doesn't really entertain me that much. I'll watch the clips and reruns and stuff like that, but like trying to catch the show live and stuff like that, I'm just not all that into. But the politics, I don't know, it just kind of gets me going, even though like I haven't voted in a presidential freaking campaign since what? I'm gonna be embarrassed if I tell y'all. But yeah, I do vote in local elections, and I have voted in local elections recently. But no, I haven't voted for president in a mighty long time. I think when Bernie was in the primaries, I voted for Bernie in the primaries, and then after that, nope. I don't know. I just have woken up and I learned a lot about politics, and I just feel like it's a pacifier, and that's what really sucks. But I still like to follow it. I mean, it's important. It's like there's a meme that's been floating around for a long time, and it's like you're just not that into politics, and it's like, well, your boss is, your I don't know, your owner of your property is, or whatever. Like the corporations are. Everyone's into politics, but you know, and it's a lot going on. So, I mean, they get things done in different ways, but how powerful your vote is a question. But being aware of what's going on is important. You ain't going to be able to know. Like I like to say, if it's a boulder coming down the mountain, wouldn't you like to know that it's a boulder rolling down the mountain coming your way so you can get out of the way? Or maybe you just don't care and you just want to scroll TikTok and you're not even aware that you're gonna get squished. You'll be gone before you even know anything what hit you. It's over. Anyways, I'm still fighting this little cold. It was a number of things I didn't get to cover last night that I'd like to cover. I know I'm in here a little bit late. I'm tired too, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, because I didn't get much sleep last night after the show. I had to be to work this morning. So I only got a few hours of sleep and then I worked a double. So I'm freaking burnt. I'm toasted. I ain't gonna lie to you. So who knows how long I'm gonna last. I can sleep in the morning because I don't have to be to work until 4 p.m. So, but I'm here for y'all. I do this for y'all. You know, hopefully you learn something. Hopefully you find something to look up or something you're interested in or something to freaking type into your search bar because that's what I really be trying to do is get people to type some stuff into their search bar. Don't take my word for anything or anyone's word for anything, but spark your curiosity of what's going on in the world. Type some stuff in your search bar. But you don't know what to type in, and I know that. So that's an issue. And that's why I do this. Hopefully give you a hand with that. A couple of little random things that catch your attention, and then hopefully you'll actually freaking look at it. So where do we start? That's always the question. I played a little bit of that one. Do I want to start with that? I don't want to start with that. No, I don't want to start with that. Hold on, y'all. What do we want to look at first? Do we want to look at headlines? Let's look at some headlines. Let's make sure this page is fresh. Okay, let's look at some headlines. I hope Doc is in here tonight. Y'all can hear me, right? Okay. AP. Israeli French hostage recounts harrowing experience in captivity. An Israeli woman who recently returned from captivity in Gaza says she was groped by her Palestinian kidnapper and lived in constant fear for weeks. Oh my God, she was groped. Netanyahu says Gaza war on Hamas will go on for many more months. Thanks U.S. for new weapon sales. Another one says Houthis show no sign of ending reckless Red Sea attacks as trade traffic picks up, commander says. Reckless Red Sea attacks. You can tell how they want you to look at stuff. That's why I like to look at headlines, because you can get a lot just reading between the lines from the headlines. What is the narrative? What are they trying to say? How do they want you to feel about it? Which perspective or point of view would they like you to have on it? And I like AP because they tend to try to give you like information, but all news is biased. There's a bias in this headline right here. No sign of ending reckless Red Sea attacks. It says Mickey Mouse will soon belong to you and me with some caveats. I don't know what they're talking about, and I don't care. High surf advisories remain in some parts of California as ocean conditions begin to calm. I saw a clip online where it was like they said high tide event and some water. It came over the what do you call that? When they have like the concrete barrier, and it went over that and into the streets. And I never really seen it before. Like it looked like a small tsunami. You had a bunch of people out there taking pictures. The tide had gone all the way out, and then it came in like a little tsunami. Paula Abdul accuses American Idol producer Nigel of sexual assault in lawsuit. Ooh. That dude gotta be careful. Better be careful. Somebody gonna try to cash in. I don't know. People been on that dude about stuff. So maybe he's a little grabby. This one, it says Maine state official who removed Trump from ballot was targeted in swatting call at her home. So yeah, so that's when you make a call to try to get the SWAT teams to come to someone's house, Like I remember, I think I was reading a little bit on this story, and it was like, I'm about to kill my girlfriend or something like that. I'm at such and such address or whatever. And then the dispatchers pretty much have no choice but to dispatch, you know, law enforcement to that address. But they recognized what the address was, and so they ended it en route and realized that it was one of those types of deal. That's really messed up to do that to people, you know. The whole thing with the taking Trump off the ballot, people are really emotional about it. You know, there's been an uptick in threats to political officials and so forth and so on related to that. It's not cool. Leave those people alone. Go at it in a different way. This one, cargo ship carrying burning lithium-ion batteries reaches Alaska but kept offshore for safety. Dang, how many times we hear stories about them damn ion batteries, them lithium-ion batteries catching fire? That shit happens a lot. Shouldn't they figure out a better way to transport them or whatever, a safer way? It says family of four found dead in apparent murder suicide by New York police sergeant. Let's look at this one. Saturday night. Do you know where your kids are? Do you know what you're doing? Getting drunk? Listening to a random podcast on Rumble? Out at the club? Doing drugs? Family of four found dead in apparent murder suicide by New York police sergeant. A husband and wife and their two sons, ages 10 and 12, were found dead in a suburban New York home Saturday in what authorities described as murder-suicide by a police sergeant. Oh, when they said by a police sergeant, I thought they were saying the sergeant found them. He's the one who did it? Because it says family of four found dead in apparent murder-suicide by New York police sergeant. That's a weird wording of this, because my brain computed this as the sergeant found these people. So, but no, they're saying he did it. It says police officials said Watson Morgan, a sergeant with the Bronxville Police Department, fatally shot his wife, Arnella Morgan, 43, and their sons before taking his own life. The four bodies were discovered by police just after midnight on Friday at the family's home in New City. I think they was trying to say New York City. Oh, New City, it's a place. Okay. The four bodies were discovered by police just after midnight on Friday at the family's home in New City, a suburb of New York City, after Morgan failed to show up for his evening shift at the Bronxville Police Department. What a freaking sad story. What a horrible person. Like, whatever the reason, whatever you got going on, man. I mean, I don't condone people committing suicide or whatever, but then you're gonna take your fucking family with you. Like, they don't want to go. You might want to go, but why the hell? Like, that's so selfish. Y'all gonna go, and I'm going too. We're all going together, and I'm making the decision. I bet you he was an abusive person, because this is an abusive type of action right here. This is like a freaking sociopath, psychopath. It says, at this phase in the investigation, it is believed that Watson killed his wife and two children prior to killing himself with a self-inflicted gunshot wound, the Clarkstown Police Department said. All four had gunshot wounds, police said. A handgun was recovered at the scene. Watson, 49, began his career with the New York Police Department in 2000 before joining the force in Bronxville, a village in Westchester County, 7 years later. According to a department biography, he was promoted to sergeant in 2016. In a statement, Bronxville Police Chief Christopher Satrali said the killings left the department with profoundly broken hearts at the senseless loss of innocent lives. Our hearts go out to Sergeant Morgan's extended family, he said. Our thoughts and prayers are also with the Bronxville Police Department family. Man, I'd like to know more about the backstory. Like, where was his head at? Like, what brought him to this situation to feel this way that he needs to do this? That's it? And they're going to tell us anything else? Hmm. What a terrible story. Terrible. So this is the picture of the guy, Sergeant Morgan. One of two photos provided by Bronxville, New York Police Department shows Watson Morgan, a sergeant with the department. Police officials said Morgan fatally shot his wife, Ornella Morgan, 43, and their sons before taking his own life. They were found dead in a suburban New York home on Saturday, December 30th, 2023. So right before the end of the year, too. Like, did he plan this? What a terrible thing to do. If you want to go, go. Don't freaking take your freaking family with you, man. They can move on and have a life. That's terrible. Let's see, what are these? Russia wants evidence before giving explanations about an object that entered Poland's airspace. What's the difference between MPH and MSW? I don't care. Maine state official who removed Trump from the ballot was targeted in swatting Collier House. Ex-Trump lawyer Michael Cohen says he unwittingly sent AI-generated fake legal cases to his attorney. Unwittingly, whatever, dude. New York governor vetoes change to wrongful death statute mixing. Hold on, let's go back to that again. Mixing damages for emotional suffering. I don't know anything about that. What a douchebag. His two sons and his wife. He took him with him on his way out. Guess he didn't want to be here no more. Maybe she was trying to, let's speculate. She was going to leave him, and he was like, nah, you can't leave. Oh, somebody's here. JT.
What's up, cousin?
What up, cuzzo? How you feeling?
I'm cooling, bro.
Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, man. What the topic is tonight?
Man, I'm talking about random stuff. Right now, I'm just on this story of this guy. He's a police sergeant in New York, and he killed his two sons and his wife, and then killed himself. I think today happened today or yesterday, recently. Today happened today.
Oh, all right.
And I was just speculating on why would someone do something like that? Like, you know, maybe his wife was leaving him. Maybe he had a terminal illness and he didn't want his family to take care of him. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of a reason why somebody would want to do something like this. Like, it's a selfish act to do that. Like, I don't condone suicide either, but if you want to take yourself out, take yourself out. Don't take your freaking family with you. That's fucked up. Really fucked up.
Yeah.
Two sons and his wife. Done.
That's just selfish right there.
Super selfish. Super selfish. Psychopathic. Maybe he told her that. It was like, you better not leave me. If you try to leave me, you and the kids gone. Then I'm gonna kill myself. And, you know, killing yourself is such a cowardly ass thing to do too. Like, he's never gonna face no consequences for his actions. That shit burns me up.
No. See.
Yeah. it is what it is. Let's go to some Instagram stuff. Freaking Kim Jong Un. I saw a story that Kim Jong Un said he told his people, the North Korea dude, he told his
Yep.
people to prepare for war with the United States. I saw something on that. There was a Newsbreak article on that. I didn't get to read the article, but that's crazy. I
Yep.
mean, man, the wars are escalating like a mug, man. We might be rolling into World War III for real.
That's what it look like, man. You see all the people building all these underground bunkers and stuff, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. People been doing that for years, though. But yeah, let's do this one. It says breaking: France, Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, Norway, and Denmark have refused to send warships for the U.S.-led Operation Prosperity Guardian in the Red Sea against the Houthis. So these countries are refusing to, help the United States against the Houthis. The Houthis are the ones, they're like the rebels in Yemen, and they're the ones that's shutting down the traffic. They're shooting at the cargo ships that's coming through there. And so supposedly these countries were supposed to help the United States and back the United States up on, fighting against the Houthis, but these countries have pulled out. France, Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, Norway, and Denmark. They wanted them to send warships. I guess they said, nope. Y'all deal with that shit on your own. Let me read some comments. It says, I live in the U.S. and I support Palestine and Yemen. It says, they buying into the U.S. terrorist delusion. People finally understand that the U.S. of Israel is nothing but a troublemaker. Another one, it says, good. Europe recognizes the hypocrisy of America in supporting an apartheid militant state. Another one, it says, the empire is crumbling. It says, just leave them be. They're a devilish duo, father and son, the biggest terrorist group as a government.
Talking about America.
Yep. It says, finally, Europe wake. It says, if Europe wants to fight terrorism, it must start by fighting and boycotting the U.S. and Israel. Whoa. Those are heavy words. Yeah, man. Yemen hit a British ship. It was like an oil tanker, I want to say. Is it in here? Let me see if I can find it right quick. I think it was right there. Yep, this is it here. It says Yemen hits a British oil ship. It says Hebrew medias announced that a ship was targeted in the Red Sea a few minutes ago. British Maritime Trade Organization. An incident occurred 55 miles southwest of Hodeida. Yeah, so we can't really confirm this. We're just looking at this picture and I can't see the flag or whatever. So, I mean, it looks like a blue, white, and red there a bit. And that's the color of the hull of the ship. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it is. But that's what they're saying it is. So it probably is true. We got to wonder about the crew. Are the crew okay? Were they able to get up out of there? Because there are a bunch of innocents related to this stuff, like people just doing their job, like wage workers, getting caught in the crossfire of this drama that's going on, Hopefully it wasn't anybody caught up in it. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Everything shutting down in America, man.
Yeah.
They say once they stop the dollar bill from circulating around the world, it's over with.
Yeah.
Got this thing called BRICS coming out.
Oh yeah, BRICS is definitely competing. It's a bipolar world now already. It has happened. Ever since they did those sanctions on Russia, and they forced Russia to like go around all of those sanctions, and they've done it successfully. And the only people that's really been hurting is Europe. So, and it caused the BRICS to get stronger, and more people are joining BRICS.
Yeah.
It's, what is it? Brazil, India, China. Who else?
Russia and South Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And Brazil alone is a huge ass economy. I don't think people really realize how powerful Brazil is, just because it's big and it's a lot of people, and then they have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
They have their own shit. They don't need nothing from nobody.
Yeah. I was watching the video a few minutes ago, and what's that nigga name is? Akon. He say if every African American go back to Africa, they'll be millionaires with all the resources that Africa got to offer.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Akon's been on that train for a long time. I think it's a good choice for some people to do that. I mean, but you can't just go without any resources yourself. Like, you don't have any money and you're just going to go to Africa to try to build a business or something. I can't see that really just working out for you. But what people don't understand is emerging markets are coming. People are moving out of poverty. The most people that have moved out of poverty ever has happened. And so, and it's billions, it's a lot of people, okay? Hundreds of millions of folks in India, in Africa, I mean, in Brazil, and these people have money and they can buy phones, and they're doing stuff that they weren't able to do some years ago. So these are all new markets. So if you have some kind of product or service to sell to all these people, boom, brand new markets. And China is the one that's trying to cash in. That's why they're acting so friendly with Africa. They want to cash in on all these new markets, huge markets. They don't need to sell their stuff to America anymore.
Oh,
They got brand new consumers. Let me play this. Let's play this. Check it out.
Foiled a large-scale attack after a high-speed chase and shootout with police. The suspect's mother and another man were killed before police fatally wounded the gunman. Officers finding a cache of weapons they say belonged to the suspect. Here's ABC's Phil Lipoff with details.
This dramatic video showing police in Las Vegas opening fire on a gunman they say went on a deadly shooting spree and may have been plotting a larger attack on authorities.
We recovered numerous electronic devices, trail cameras, bulletproof vests, tactical helmets, and other firearms, numerous military manuals, and documents about police responses to mass casualty incidents.
Police say the rampage started with Justin Davidson, dressed in camouflage and a tactical vest, firing a gun near his childhood home before dawn Wednesday, his parents driving out to find him.
The suspect began to fire towards his parents, striking and killing his mother.
Davidson's father escaping unharmed just as officers arrived, immediately taking fire themselves. Police say Davidson, armed with these two rifles, then stole a police cruiser, leading officers on a high-speed chase to this gas station, where he carjacked this truck.
He is still armed with his rifle, and he is ordering the occupants of the blue truck out.
Moments later, Davidson carjacking another vehicle from a different gas station, this time an officer opening fire. Authorities say during the chase, Davidson stole a third vehicle, a white van, fatally shooting the driver, Jerry Lopez Martinez, the father of 7, headed to work that morning, according to his wife.
Jerry was just being a good citizen, pulled over because he's seeing cop cars coming. I want Jerry to be remembered for the amazing man that he is, the loving father that he was.
Authorities opening fire as the van pulls off. Police later finding Davidson dead inside the vehicle. Tonight, investigators are still searching his properties.
They also found a notebook. Inside was a diagram of a potential ambush situation, indicating the suspect was preparing for an armed confrontation with law enforcement.
While the investigation continues, police have not released a motive yet here, though they do tell us Davidson has a lengthy criminal history dating back to 2009 with gun and drug charges. His most recent arrest in November for DUI.
Phil Lipoff, thank you. Authorities.
Wow, that's crazy. So it says suspected police ambush plot thwarted. So they're saying that this situation could have been much worse. Man, this was a pretty graphic video. I hope I don't get dinged for this. I didn't get to check this out beforehand, but I done played it now, so life goes on. Yeah, so this could have been much worse, basically, is what they're saying. Let's read this. It says, Las Vegas police say they may have foiled the mass casualty attack that was being planned by a suspect who died in a shooting rampage after killing his mother and an innocent bystander. Reports as authorities uncover an arsenal of weapons. Dang, so he was planning on having a shootout with the police. He ended up actually having one, but it didn't go the way that he was planning it. Shit, camouflage tactical vest. They say he had, booklets. He had looked this up and planned this out. Let's read some comments. It says, another Trump supporter doing MAGA-S. How do they know that this guy was a Trump supporter? Where did they get that from? Another one that says, another Mayo maniac. It's just what they do best. Never trust a pale face. Well, that was kind of racist. Another one that says, let me guess, because he is YT, it's mental illness. Another one that says, a father of 7 going to work, doing what he's supposed to do, providing for his family. 7 kids with no dad. Dang, I can't even imagine what she is going through. 7 kids. So this guy was like an innocent bystander guy who got whacked, right? Oh no, are they talking about the actual guy who did it? I'm confused. Let's read some more. It says, literally right by my house, could hear the choppers early in the AM. Another one, it says, Jerry didn't deserve that. What the F? It says, how do you kill your own mother and innocent people? Unbelievable. I guess he was ready to go. It's like the other guy, the cop who killed his freaking family. I guess when you're ready to go, at that point, you don't really care. Man, we breed sociopaths here. Another comment, it says, can't these crazy people go after the politicians, like make the world safer? And come on, man, don't talk like that, people. Don't talk like that. And anyways, the politician's just going to be replaced by another one that's going to do the same stuff. Like, you're not going to accomplish anything by doing that. Another comment that says, where's the lady that was talking about fatherless black homes last night? She definitely shouldn't be worried about fatherless black homes. And another one that says, just here to see all the racist comments. There has been a number of racist comments, so bearded, you're right. It's like pretty much all of them have been. Another comment that says, know how I know there isn't loving God? Less than a week from Xmas, a father of 7 kids that believe in Santa was murdered by MK Ultra candidate. How do they know this? Where are they getting this from? Another one that says, one less Trump voter. Wow, these are freaking heartless. See, no wonder there's so many freaking heartless sociopathic people out here. You could tell by these damn comments. That guy wasn't the only heartless sociopath. These comments reveal y'all revealing yourself. Let's do this one.
Threat as millions of Americans hit the roads and skies during this busy holiday weekend. ABC's M. Nguyen joining us now from Reagan National Airport. And M, the TSA is now responding to this.
Yeah, absolutely, Whit. At this time, the TSA is responding to a video that was recently released just this week by Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, which calls for attacks against Jewish and Western targets, among them American, British, and French airlines and high-profile economic figures. In the instructional videos, AQAP uses the Israel-Hamas war to incite would-be terrorists. TSA now saying it's aware of the video, adding it's in close contact with the Department of Homeland Security, and that foreign terrorist organizations routinely highlight transportation modes during the holidays. The TSA says they're not aware of any credible threats resulting from that video. Law enforcement already on high alert this holiday weekend with major events like the ball drop in Times Square, expecting massive crowds. And police warn these major events make for an attractive target for violent extremists. And so tonight, law enforcement, while they are urging everyone to go ahead and enjoy the New Year's, at this point, they're saying you have to stay vigilant. And if you see something, say something. Whit.
And Wynn reporting for us tonight. Thank you. Turn now to
If you see something, say something. It says TSA response to terror threat. Man, if I was in New York, I wouldn't go to that ball drop this time. Things are a little bit crazy right now. And yeah, I wouldn't. I don't really like large crowds anyways. I just feel unsafe in normal circumstances. And right now, the United States is a powder keg. Like, just like waiting for something, a spark. So it says TSA responds to a threat ahead of holidays from Al Qaeda affiliate calling for attacks against Jewish and Western targets. Reports on the heightened threats amid the Israel-Hamas war. So what are they saying? Al Qaeda affiliate calling for attacks against Jewish and Western targets. So where are they getting that from?
Shit, I was watching on the web today. Nigga say he was downtown in New York, and by every light pole, it was something that looked like a bomb.
Well, if that's true, I would think that the people would, they would be aware of these things and disarm that.
Yeah, I was just,
I think right now is not a good time to go to some kind of large groups, like the previous story, it looked like he was thinking about having a shootout with the cops or whatever. Like he was planning to do a mass shooting and they saying that they thwarted it. How many other guys are out there like him planning something?
Oh, a couple of them. They money looking funny. When that money look funny, niggas do stupid stuff.
Let me read some more. It says only ones. Hold on. It says only ones under the actual threat of terror are the Palestinians getting wiped out. Another one. It says why does the ABC ignore the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which is the second largest terrorist organization behind Hamas, operating within the civilian population of Palestine? I don't know if ABC is avoiding that by covering this particular story. Like, they're just covering a story. It says, another comment says, we caused this by going to other countries and destroying their life. Another one, it says, they want you to fund a war going on. Stop taking my tax dollars to fund Israel and Ukraine. Another one, it says, Al Qaeda, where they come from, I feel they lying. Yeah, it's something weird about this story. Al Qaeda, I haven't heard nothing from Al Qaeda in a long ass time. I didn't know they were still a thing. It says CIA and Mossad working overtime. Another one, it says, this right here is to instill fear into the American people. There's no such thing as Al Qaeda. It has already been proven this is a CIA tactic. And the news should be ashamed for reporting stuff like this. It's all to instill fear. Remember 9/11, same thing, to instill fear so they can go after another country over its resources. Before 9/11, Iraq had no cherries organizations in there. Saddam Hussein did not allow it neither. This serious with Muammar Gaddafi never allowed terrorists in his country. And after 9/11, it was proven that Al Qaeda is part of the CIA backed by the CIA in the United States. I'll probably get a violation for telling the truth. Another one that says, why aren't you talking about the terrorist threats at the southern border? There were terror threats at the southern border? I haven't heard that. Why would the terrorists threaten the southern border? What are they saying? They mean the immigrants. They mean the immigrants are coming through and those are terrorist threats. Okay, that's what they're trying to say.
Oh, they coming in left and right. Right here.
Yeah, we talk about immigration a lot here in the show. Let's do this one.
Vienna builds 10,000 new units of affordable housing every year. Compare that to LA's $1.2 billion homeless housing bond, which aims to build the same amount in a decade. Meanwhile, Hernandez says market rate developments do not address affordability.
Because so many people are struggling to stay housed. And so many people, their everyday worry is about remaining in their housing, paying their rent or their mortgage.
But Vienna has been building social housing for nearly a century. LA is far behind. Meanwhile, back on the street, April Hurd placed a note on her car pleading with police not to tow her possessions while she looks for permanent housing.
I never thought I would go through this, and especially not this long. Because I've been doing everything I'm supposed to do in the order, following through with everything.
She's got big plans to rebuild her life once she and Sassy Girl have a place to call home. Hernandez notes that Vienna builds 10,000 new units.
So it says housing crisis, how European cities like Vienna deal with housing versus the US. It says we could learn a thing or two from Vienna. Comments, it says keeping people homeless is a business. It creates a real estate price high. Our budget increase for homeless programs, etc. You stop profiting by a solution than keeping the problem. So yeah, that comment is saying that, there's money in homelessness, I don't know about it having the impact on real estate. I would think that it would have a negative impact on real estate, given that property values would go down with people hanging around, properties. I don't know if that's true, that it pushes the price up or whatever. I saw that Biden is coming out with some kind of initiative related to helping people get homes. I just saw it recently, like today. And I don't know much about it. It's like, I think it's a certain amount of money that's going to be provided to people who qualify to help them buy homes, to try to push against this issue where, it's so hard for people to get homes right now, with the way the interest rates are and so forth and so on. And then you got all of these investment firms who are buying homes and renting them out. It's like impossible to compete against an investment firm when you're buying a home. They can pay liquid cash and you're trying to get a loan. It's not fair for them to be in the same market with people. They're going to win every time. They have like unlimited funds. It's not right. Let's read another comment. It says, this country is so backwards. The fact that housing is allowed to sit vacant for indeterminate periods of time, rotting while waiting on the market to yield a higher return, is a sickness. And the owners of these properties are so easily able to turn a blind eye to the immediate needs of communities, all in the name of profit. It makes my stomach turn. People need homes. It makes everything else exponentially easier. Even if you're still struggling to make ends meet, which in the richest country in the world should straight not be a thing. So effing backwards. I don't think that building infinite amounts of affordable housing is the solution either. Some, yes, but rehabilitating blight and making it affordable would go a very long way to solving this issue. But there are too many jackasses in this country for whom everything is hyper-conditional, who refuse to see those around them as equals because they consider themselves better than others. It's absurd and harmful, and I hate it. Grrr. Make it make sense. Yeah, I always say I feel like there's a reason why we have homeless. We could totally fix the homeless issue, but we don't want to. It's a message to the rest of us who, are working hard on our jobs. Keep your head down, do what your boss say, follow the rules, don't take any risks because if you fail, you're going to end up out there under the bridge. Another comment, it says housing should not be a commodity. Another one, it says it actually wasn't such a hard sell because all of those benefits would equally go to Black people and other people of color. They're willing to set this country on fire to prevent that. Never underestimate racism as a motivating factor for these people. It's bred into their bones, fed to them with their mother's milk. That's pretty harsh, but I think there's some truth in that. Another one, it says, if only the U.S. took care of everyone the way we take care of billionaires. Too big to fail, The rest of us, like the housing crisis when so many people lost their homes, they bailed out the banks, but they didn't help those people who freaking lost their homes. Those people just lost it. It was gone. I was one of those people, and I'm paying rent right now today. I've been paying rent ever since. It really sucks. It really sucks bad because, the same amount of money that you spend on rent, and a lot of times you could be spending that on a mortgage, and the money actually going to something. When you're paying rent, you could be in a place for years and years and years, and the first month you can't pay your rent, they'll have you out of there in 3 days, less than a month, and all that money you put in just went to nothing. It just evaporates, if you're paying a mortgage, at least the money is going towards something.
Oh, see, I went through the same thing, man. I was out there bad, Shoot, man. I lost my apartment and couldn't. I'm talking about 2 years paying rent, and I could have been paying on the house. And I think they take advantage of people with that rent crap, cause if you wanted to see me, if you did want to see the homeless population grow, it ought to be rules and regulations to people who have when you sign that contract, the rental agreement and all that, it shouldn't shouldn't be because you missed last month rent, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And then I had to go to court. Yeah, I think something totally wrong with that picture.
Yeah, but the argument is going to be that a lot of these places are like privately owned, and you got to worry about the people that own the property too. They have to pay taxes, they got to pay mortgages. A lot of them will lose their place or lose their income or whatever, if they don't have that rental income coming in. It should just be more protections in place for people when they hit hard times, because everyone has a hard time every now and then. You lose your job, you get sick or whatever, you can't work, you're not making enough money, something happens, emergencies happen, your car breaks down, whatever. And it should be some kind of protections in place, especially if you're a person who's been paying rent for months and months, years and years and years. Like, you have a track record of taking care of business. It's not like you want to be homeless. It's not like you don't want to pay your rent. Now, on the other hand, you have these people who are living for free, because the laws are really wonky when it comes to this stuff. Like, once you've been on a property over a certain amount of time, there are laws in place to protect squatters. And people go and they squat in people's homes and they don't pay any rent, and the owners of the property have hell and high water to get you out of there. And these people end up losing their their properties because it's a guy squatting on their property. So it's kind of like a case of the good suffers with the bads. You know, you got a few people out there doing horrible stuff, and all the rest of us suffer as a result. Pretty sad. Let's read another comment. It says, "This is because legislators like Weiner, Wicks, Newman, local elected, are pushing for middle-income housing, what makes their developer donors Monroe money. If city councils in Sacramento cared, all new development would have 20% inclusionary low and very low affordable housing and ban short-term rentals. Pretty easy fix, but not good for their donors." Yeah, and that's why I don't like the Airbnb situations, because that pushes against, permanent housing for people, all of these temporary housing, people trying to make a quick buck or whatever. Meanwhile, there's people that can't, that don't have any place to live, you know. And as far as like having like lower income housing in the same units, a lot of people don't want that because they're gonna feel like it's gonna be a different crowd that's in their building. Like, some of these, like a grocery store, like Randall's or Kroger's, like Randall's specifically. The reason why a lot of people go to Randall's, they know that the prices are high there, but they go there because they miss a lot of riffraff by going there. The store is never going to be packed because the prices are high, so they get to shop, and without a bunch of people around them, they get to go straight to the counter and pay. It's not going to be a long line. You know what I mean? They don't have crazy riffraff. Like, I don't like to go to Walmart because of the people that be in Walmart, So it's like that with the buildings. So people want to live in a place where there's not a bunch of riffraff and crazy, crackheads and people asking them for money and stuff, a bunch of like people doing robberies and stuff. Like, when you're in a really nice building or, a really nice apartment complex, it kind of weeds out a lot of that, So that's the thing. They don't want low income or low priced housing in the same units, and I get it. I totally get it. I don't want to deal with that riffraff. That's why I pay what I pay where I'm at right now. It's really, really quiet here, and it's like no drama really, other than the Karens. I got a Karen that lives under me, and but other than that, I mean, it's really nice. Let's read some more. It says, "I like many people in this country are only one bad situation away from homelessness." A lot of us are living check to check. Like, the majority of Americans live check to check. So they're one paycheck away from being right out there with them. And that's why I don't understand the attitudes that people have towards homeless people, like they're drug addicts or they're lazy or, they don't want to do right or whatever. And like the majority of us is one freaking, serious situation away from being in the same boat. Our healthcare system sucks. If we get sick,
I say, what you think about that $1 trillion you just sent to Ukraine?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if it was $1 trillion, but the numbers don't really matter. It's money that's not going to Americans. It's money to Israel, money to Ukraine, and they always say they don't have money for social programs here, but they got plenty of money for that. They got plenty of money to give to the military industrial complex. Like, they just passed a $898 billion budget for the Pentagon. Like, what the hell? Let me read another comment. It says, "We live in an actual dystopian hellscape, and so many of you are actively working and voting to make it even worse." People vote against their own interests. The media, the corporations are the ones that control the media, and they program people, and they program people to vote against their own interests. We're always worried about Walmart and Amazon, like they're so important to us for them to be okay, but we don't want to vote for stuff that's going to help our neighbor. You know, our neighbor is lazy and an enemy and is trying to rob us, but Walmart and Amazon, give them as much money as they need.
Yeah, I was watching one thing. It say, I used to be a Republican, but now I just vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Speaking of, they say blacks used to be Republicans back in the day, and now they didn't switch to this Democrat, and that's why most blacks are in the position they in.
There might be some truth to that. There's a lot of black people who are switching back to Republican right now. A lot of them aren't going to feel comfortable voting for Biden. That's why I think Trump's going to win this next election. I really do think so, you know.
You got my vote.
Dang. Another comment that says, right here in the States, developers pay off city councils all over the country. It would be great if the government would make affordable housing and developers can build expensive housing, but it won't happen. Another one that says, don't want to hurt the fragile economy. Another one, I personally know of people who reached out to Ms. Hernandez, respectfully pleading for housing assistance, no reply, and she permanently blocked them. GTD elected officials who want property in California are part of the problem, not the solution. Yeah, man, it's by design. And a lot of these people who are pretending to help are just in it to profit from the situation. Look at this one. It says companies and institutions that need to be bailed out by the government when they fail should be owned by the government. You can't privatize the profit and socialize the losses. And like, this is a very good argument right here. You know, you can't freaking manage your business well enough to be profitable, and you need the government to bail you out, you know? So, but then the government bails you out using taxpayer funds, and then you get to privatize all your freaking profit that you get after that. There's something wrong with that picture, you know? But the people are going to push against it because they're going to call it communism. It's like, why is it so crazy for the taxpayers to be getting some kind of dividends for what they, the money that they're putting in? You know, people make investments and they expect returns on their investments. You know, how come the American taxpayers can't get returns on their investments? You know, how come they use like 80-90% of government funds to do research and development for some kind of drug or whatever, but then as soon as it comes on the market, then all the profit is privatized, and then they sell that right back to the damn American people, the same people who paid for it to be developed. Like, that is crazy. There's something wrong with that picture. And I don't understand why people can't get their brain around understanding that we're getting screwed. It says, who agrees? It says, should be owned by the people. It says, let's not forget that the U.S. state is a bourgeoisie capitalist state. It would not serve the interests of the people, even if it were to come into possession of these companies and institutions. You know, and that's the argument that a lot of people would make. But we can force them to do that, you know. It's all about transparency. And that's what we lack in all areas. Like, we don't know where money's coming from. We don't know where money is going, you know, completely not, the information is not being shared with us, you know. If we had some transparency and we knew where money was coming from and where money was going, and the people could make some decisions on where the money is going, then it would be different, you know. Of course, you're not going to trust the government when it's opaque and the money is just going to private contractors, to their buddies, their friends and family. You know, that's just saying that we have a corrupt system, you know. So then that really is just pointing to what the problem really is, you know. But people aren't talking about fixing the problem. They're just saying, I don't want to give money to the government because I don't trust them and they're going to waste the money. Okay, well, let's fix the problem related to the government wasting the money. It says they aren't private kids. It's called public market. Whatever. You're playing with the words there. Okay, it's a public market, but the freaking profits are private. Like, if I make some money in the public market, that money goes into my bank account, and I'm not sharing my bank account with you. So it's private. Playing with those words like that, confusing people. Let's read some replies to this. Let's see if somebody got in this person's butt here. It says, yes, definitions, and you lemmings clearly can't read them. Another one that says, just stop, Buttercup. If you knew how ridiculous your string of drivel was, you wouldn't have written it, my dear lady. Another one that says, it's too hilarious to watch you all guzzle Robert's balls and be completely wrong. Another comment that says, the American taxpayer should effing own Goldman Sachs and General Motors. Yep. It says, I agree, need a government bailout. Hand over control of your company to the government that bails you out. No bonuses, and all executives are fired. You clearly couldn't do your job properly, so you need to get the hell up out of there. These people got raises. They got raises, and then they got bonuses. They got to continue to be in their positions after freaking damn near tanking the whole ass economy. That's so crazy. They got benefits for failing. They failed up. Another comment that says, Iceland did that in 2008. Iceland effing rules. Another comment that says, that is capitalism. Whenever the government provides opportunities and privilege for white people and rich people, they call it subsidized. When they do it for Negro and poor people, they call it welfare. The fact that is that everybody in this country lives on welfare. Suburbia was built with federally subsidized credit, and highways take our white brothers out to the suburbs were built with federally subsidized money in the tune of 90%. Everybody is on welfare in this country. The problem is that we all too often have socialism for the rich, rugged free enterprise capitalism for the poor. That's the problem, MLK. Let's see, another comment. It says, remove corporate control of the government first, then remove corporate control of non-luxury resources. Another one says, no company should be bailed out by the government, period. Let them fail. Let them fail. If you can't freaking manage your shit right, then let them fail. And the companies that do manage their stuff right will grow, and they get benefits for doing it, and they should be the leaders in the industry, not someone who continues to fail. So it's like these big ass banks, the biggest banks are the ones that got bailed out by the government. And the small ones that have been doing their business properly, they didn't get a chance to grow. The market got gobbled up by these ones who's got this unlimited funds coming from the government. Of course, why would I do my business properly if I can rely on the government coming in and freaking covering my losses every time? It says, I agree, all the banks that were bailed out should be government property. Another one says, and broken up, too big to fail means too big to exist. I'm telling you. It says, you mean the taxpayers, the government doesn't buy anything without us putting the labor, the troubles, the grind, the lack of sleep, the taxes. They don't do shit except give it away to monster suppressive nations like Israel. One more, we'll move on. It says, you had no problem with that when government got involved in healthcare and General Motors on top of that. Look how many people got screwed over that. Crazy, crazy, crazy world we live in. Shit don't make no damn sense. Robert Wright, he says, Wall Street has consolidated into 5 giant banks. Airlines have merged from 12 major carriers in 1980 to 4. A handful of companies control the pharmaceutical industry. 4 giants control over 80% of meat processing. The evidence of corporate concentration is everywhere. It says monopolies are driving the most extreme wealth imbalance in over a century. We must revive antitrust law and stop the monopolization of America now. So it's like when you were in school and they teach you about history, they teach you about the Gilded Age, what they call the Gilded Age. And we're in Gilded Age 2.0. It's the same as it was then, like probably worse, you know. It's crazy. And what I think a lot of people don't really understand is that the economy is not strong when you have all of these monopolies like this. So one of these big companies, something happens, they fall off, then we don't have any food or something, like something major. And that's the reason why they're talking about too big to fail. So like one of these banks fail, and then the economy just freaking falls below the freaking zero, you know? One of these airlines fail and there's no air traffic. Like one of these pharmaceuticals fail and we don't have any drugs for, you know, it's a weaker economy when it's consolidated like this. It's much stronger when you have, you know, multiple companies, because if one of them fail, it's not a big deal. You got somebody else to take up the slack. But now it's not like that because it's only a couple of companies. So one of them fail, 2 of them fail. We're doubly fucked. It says capitalism without competition is the worst form of economic policy. Boom. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And then they're saying that, you know, we have a free market. It's like, no, we don't. No, we don't. Stop lying to yourself. You know, there's no competition. There's no competition. You know, a lot of these brands that you go to in the store and they're sitting next to each other on the rack are owned by the same fucking company, and you think that they're competing with each other. They're not. They're owned by the same company. There's no competition. That's how you get to this point where you have this price fixing. It's really easy to do price fixing when it's only a couple of companies in each sector, you know. And then we're talking about inflation, and we're like, oh, it's the inflation, that's the reason why. And it's like, well, maybe it's inflation, or maybe it's just price gouging by these damn corporations. The price fixing. Maybe it's not inflation at all. It's just them being greedy and cashing in on the freaking pandemic. Another comment, it says, I thought we had antitrust laws. What happened? We do, and they're on the books. They just don't get enforced. Because the corporations are in the decisions are in the pockets of the corporations. And the damn corporations basically write all of the legislation. Too much money in the politics. Everybody cashing in but you and me. It says, remember when the government forced to break up Ma Bell, AT&T in the 1970s and 80s because it was forming too big of a monopoly? That was the proper exorcism of government control to protect the general populace, and you don't see that anymore. The government has turned us back on citizens in favor of corporations and their greed. Yep. We haven't seen nothing get busted up in a long time. It's been a long time since they've busted up anything. All we're seeing is consolidation and hostile takeovers. They call it synergy. It says, and how many of those consolidated firms do you own stocks in, Bob? Ooh, dun, dun, dun. So, you know, that's the out for a lot of people. They're just like, okay, you can't beat them, join them. They're like, just buy stocks in Amazon or Apple or Walmart or whatever, and you'll get your little dividends or whatever, you know. But that's not the answer. That's the damn game. That's kind of like the voting, which you thinking that your vote is really making a damn difference, you know, and it's not. And you're still getting screwed. Your little dividends ain't shit. You'd have to own a whole bunch of stocks to be making something. And that price, when it's big like that, the big old companies, that fluctuation is not there. There's very little fluctuation in that price. So the chances of you making anything more than what you put into it, like you're making pennies on that shit. Nobody can afford to buy like 1 million shares of Apple unless you're already rich as fuck. Another comment, it says, thank Reagan and Trump for doing away with regulations. You know, regulations are good. You know, we need regulations. Another comment, it says, amazing how this grotesquely uneducated Republican cult lovers all the deregulations of capitalism until that same deregulated capitalism comes to the front door. Then they're quick to blame the Dems. You know, it's just good cop, bad cop, bro. So like the Dems are no better. You know, they're allowing this shit to happen. They're working together and laughing all the way to the bank while the American people are suffering and losing. Another one, it says, and there used to be a law against monopolies, so they weren't able to do what they have done between 2020 and 2023 because uncomfortable inflation due to corporate greed. There are laws and they're on the books. They're just not being enforced. We need to force them to freaking enforce the laws. It's just like the loopholes with the tax code. You know, those laws are on the books, but people are using the loopholes so that they don't pay taxes, and people are championing that shit.
All right, let's have a look. You're drunk. You're not capable of driving. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Well, quite honestly, I don't feel drunk. I mean, this is the point.
But this is the law of the land.
Yes,
you
I
cannot drink and drive anymore over this limit.
I see. I will.
Right. But will you do this when the law becomes in force on Monday?
Well, I wonder whether they'll sort of pick on the people like myself.
But you're drunk.
Oh, God. That's the way it goes.
Well, tell me what you think about this law.
Well, I don't think it's well, no. Basically, it's probably quite a good law because you know, anything to prevent accidents on the road, I can't agree with. But it obviously, you know, it's different with different people, and some people get drunk on a small gin. Other people take 15 pints before they get drunk.
But it's aimed at ordinary people like you and me, not alcoholics.
Yes. Well, this is the trouble. I mean, what can I say? I'm drunk.
I think it's fairly diabolical because it doesn't take any account, for example, of the pedestrian who's had too much to drink. He could cause an accident, but he doesn't get tested. It's the driver who gets tested, and I think that's unfair.
I don't see what I am. As I say, for many, many years, I've driven with far more looking at me than I have now. And I've driven in Kenya, in Uganda, down in South Africa. And as I say, I still feel that I am capable of driving this car home.
So you're going to drive home tonight, and you're not going to change your drinking habits at all?
Certainly not.
All right, let's have a look. You're drunk. You're not capable of driving. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Well, quite honestly, I don't feel drunk. I mean, this is the point.
But this is the law of the land.
This is interesting stuff right here. So they're showing clips of when this law came into play. So it says, asking the opinion of people who drink drive on the new drink driving law that is coming in place in 1967. So it says in 1967, the first drink driving limit was introduced, allowing no more than 80 milligrams per 100 milliliters of blood. This was the response from the public that the BBC documented. So, you know, one of the guy's arguments was, I don't think it's fair because they're not testing people who are walking, the pedestrians, they can cause accidents too. You know, the other guy was like, some people, you know, can get drunk off of a pint and other people don't get drunk until they drink like a lot, you know. This is what happens. Like, these arguments sound similar to the arguments that you have whenever, you know, laws come out now, you know. You know, what did the lady say? Hold on.
Than I have now. And I've driven in Kenya, in Uganda, down in South Africa. And as I say, I still feel that I am capable of driving this car home.
So you're going to drive home tonight, and you're not going to change your drinking habits at all?
Certainly not.
Like, I'm not changing my drinking habits for y'all. Like, I think that, when you look at stuff in hindsight, you see that it makes sense or whatever. But when it's happening, in real time, it's like people have a problem with change, people are scared or whatever, they feel like they're getting their freedoms taken away from them or whatever. But it's like you having the freedom to drive around and kill other people with your car. Like, okay, they are limiting your freedoms a bit, but your freedom to drive around drunk is infringing on the freedom of other people to walk around or drive their cars and stay alive because they didn't freaking get ran over by you being drunk and inebriated and not really being able to control your car. And people think they're good, of course you're going to think you're good. Like, that's the thing about alcohol. It always makes you feel like you're more in control than you are, like you're more aware than you are. You think that you're aware, but you're not. Your reactions times are slowed way the hell down. Your vision is blurred. You make bad decisions that you wouldn't make otherwise, and that's just what it is. So it's like your freedoms end where they infringe on mine, and that's what people have to try to understand. It's, we can lead into the gun debate with this because that's what it is with that. It's like freedom to have guns, and people are responsible with their guns. And same thing with the drinking. Some people are responsible with their drinking, and they're not going to drink too much to be so messed up that they can't control their car. But you got other people who aren't going to do that. They don't know how to control themselves with it. And it's the same thing with the guns. You have some people who aren't going to make good decisions when they have guns readily available. So your freedoms end when they infringe on my freedom. So I don't have the freedom to go to the grocery store and not worry about getting slaughtered by some dude who decides to do, some kind of, he wants to be famous or something. Let me read some comments. It says, it makes you wonder what things we say now with full seriousness that will equally be laughed at 50 years from now. That's kind of the point I'm making right here. It says, where is this England? Clearly not in the USA. What point is that? I mean, I don't think that matters. It says, those are the boomers calling us selfish right now. It says, another one, it says, he said, what about the drunk pedestrian? I know, like, what a crazy, and it's like what we do a lot of times, we blame the victim. It's not fair to me. That guy over there didn't get, tested. It's like, wait a minute, but that guy's not driving a car, So it's not fair. It says, another comment says, 1/3 fatal car accidents that happen in the states of Florida are from impaired drivers. Sounds like it's the sober 2/3 of people that are the bigger issue. Yeah. Another comment says, some folks can't drive sober. Well, that's true. That's true. Another comment says, some guys can drink and drive and some guys can't. What is drunk? Another one that says, in Germany, I drank in 10th grade because it was legal. It was my gateway to drinking. Wonder what the DUI fatalities are in Germany. Another one that says, first guy was doing so well toward the end, then he gave up completely. What can I say? I'm drunk. It says, everyone is an alcoholic in the UK. I love history, man. I really do. Another comment says, I hate when I'm drunk walking home and swerve into a family sedan. Those poor souls. Another comment says, a couple of years later, Ted Kennedy and Chappaquiddick came along. Another one, she's driving drunk in Uganda. Clearly, she's on the right to drink drunk anywhere. Yeah, that was her justification. She's like, I was in Kenya, I was in Uganda, and everything was fine. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep on driving and drinking. Another one, it says, how would the law not be targeting alcoholics when it's a drunk driving law? I'm laughing my ass off. Another one, it says, the way she said Kenya. She was saying it properly. Yeah, us here in the United States, we don't even speak English properly. So, you know, the European people tend to, especially in like the UK, they speak English properly, like they pronunciate all of the letters. A lot of them feel like we don't even speak English, like we speak some kind of dialect of English here in the States.
You know that the calendric New Year, January 1st, celebrated sequentially in 24 time zones around the world. That is kind of odd. We celebrate the moment of midnight, but that moment is an hour earlier than the folks west of you. Okay, that's a little weird. To put so much focus in a moment in time that no one else cares about until that moment in time happens to them. So anyhow, all humans on Earth take 24 hours to celebrate the new year, and that's one of the celebrations of the year that has no astronomical relevance, significance, or importance. It's completely made up. And that's okay, but I just thought I'd let you know that. I should let you know that the calendric New Year, January 1st, celebrated sequentially in 24 time zones around the world. That is kind of odd. We celebrate the moment of midnight, but that moment is an hour earlier than the folks west of you. Okay, that's a little weird. To put so much focus in a moment in time that no one else cares about until that moment in time happens to them. So anyhow, all humans on Earth take 24 hours to celebrate the new year, and that's one of the celebrations of the year that has no astronomical relevance.
It says no astronomical relevance, significance, or importance. Yeah, because the new year should be at the beginning of spring when, you know, the sun comes back, when the days start to get longer again. You know, that would make sense to me anyways. I mean, if you wanted to choose a spot of the beginning of the year, it would make sense to be then. You know, some of the stuff we do is really kind of crazy. And this is one of them, making the new year in the middle of winter. All right, who came up with that anyways? Let's read this. It says, we can't let you celebrate New Year's Eve without understanding its relevance first. Another comment, it says, from an astronomical perspective, nothing that happens here is relevant. That's a good comment, actually. Another comment says, when would be astronomical time for a year change? When would be astronomical time for a year change? In the spring. That's the birth. The birth of the sun. Let's see, did somebody say something? It says, as far as I know, it would be the Persian New Year known as Solar Hijri calendar. Another one, Naraz, I assume. I'm surprised didn't nobody say spring. It says, and from the astronomical POV, can we pinpoint when we actually finish a lap around the sun? You know, I mean, that's a good comment, actually. So, like, from that perspective, then it's like wherever you want to choose to start and finish at. If it's a circle, then, I mean, who's to know where it starts? You know, it doesn't really have a start. So you could just pick any point on the circle and call that the start. Here it goes. It says, right, New Year should be the spring equinox, not some random winter day. That's my view of it. I mean, what do y'all think? It looks like we're okay on Facebook now. Yeah, what do y'all think? Happy New Year's Eve, by the way, because it's 12:31. I'm looking at my computer screen. 1:01 a.m. here where I'm at. So it's New Year's Eve. So happy New Year's Eve. I covered that last night. 18-year-old from Guatemala. Covered that. Ohio governor. Russia attacked Ukraine. I covered that. I covered that one. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I covered that. Talked about Obama for a while. Like the legacy of Obama. It's all like fuzzy, emotional, but nothing concrete, really. Very little concrete. I covered this one too, year over year, dropping homicides. Yep. New York mayor crying, covered that. Hold on, y'all. Most Haitians. So bombing other countries do not make us safer. I covered that. They're privatizing everything. Them school vouchers are not the answer. Maine, trying to take Trump off the ballot. I covered that. It was something I wanted to finish, and I don't remember what it was. Thousands trudged through Mexico towards U.S. border and massive migrant surge. Let's do this random story right here. Can y'all hear me? Let me double check. Story right here. Where's Doc? Doc, you out there? Says details emerge in head-on crash that killed 6 members of the same family. Wow. Says 6 members of the same family, including 2 children. Hold on, let me share my screen. 6 members of the same family, including 2 children, were killed in Texas when a 17-year-old pickup truck. A 17-year-old pickup truck? Oh, driver. Okay, I finished reading. Okay, my bad. 17-year-old pickup truck driver slammed head-on into a minivan while allegedly driving the wrong way on the highway, authorities said. Relatives of the deceased said they were returning from a post-Christmas outing to a wildlife safari park when the fatal accident occurred on US 67, about 50 miles southwest of Fort Worth. The driver of the pickup truck that collided with the family and his passengers were also taken to a hospital in critical condition, according to police. It says, did the 17-year-old fall asleep behind the wheel? Very sad. It's very, very sad. It's weird because we were just talking about the alcohol thing. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. I have one of my cousins who got in trouble. They were driving the wrong way on the freeway and they hit someone and that other person passed away. It's weird how the drunk person is always the one who lives when it happens like that. You know, they found liquor bottles all here in her car. She got locked up. She did her time too. Another comment says, did the 17-year-old fall asleep behind the wheel? I read that. It says, very sorry for all involved, and the comments calling the teenager evil and deserving of death. Wow, there's a reason it's called an accident. Be kind. Well, I don't know if it was alcohol involved, then maybe not. It says the killer always survives. Yeah. It's, you know, I don't know, when you're drunk or you're on drugs, your body is all limp, you know, and you just kind of go with the flow. I think that's the reason why they tend to live, because the people who are sober, they tense up, and when their body tense up, that's when they get hurt. When you're like limp, you just roll. It says, hopefully he makes it and then spends the rest of his adult life in prison. Another comment, it says, I feel like Somebody needs to talk to this person. I don't want to read that out loud. They're probably, let me get off of here. I don't like them kind of comments. Let me move on, y'all. I just kind of got upset right there real quick reading that comment. The DOJ threatened civil rights lawsuit if Texas enforces new border security law. So the Department of Justice is warning Governor Greg Abbott that it will sue if Texas moves forward with legislation empowering state officials to remove people from the U.S. who they suspect of being in the country illegally. The new legislation, which Abbott signed into law earlier this month, is unconstitutional and will disrupt the federal government's immigration enforcement operations. Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General Brian M. Boynton wrote in a letter to the governor obtained by Hearst newspapers. The letter says that if Abbott does not confirm, the state will forego enforcement of the law by January 3rd. The United States will pursue all appropriate legal remedies to ensure that Texas does not interfere with the functions of the federal government. The law set to take effect in March would allow any law enforcement officer in Texas to arrest migrants accused of unlawfully entering the state from Mexico and empower judges to order their removal. I covered a bit of this yesterday. Read some comments. It says, how are they protected by civil rights laws when they are not here legally? Yeah, I don't really want to make comments because I talked about this already a lot. I'm really kind of looking for something right now. Dang it. Trump's name is back on the ballot in Colorado. Nikki Haley on her Civil War, slavery comments. Did I cover this?
Outspoken about wanting to murder. That's how 17-year-old Connor Hilton is described in new court documents. Hilton's in Galveston County Jail charged with murdering 18-year-old Ethan Riley and shooting a 19-year-old now hospitalized in critical condition. According to records, Hilton told his friend he wanted to commit homicide for a long time and said he convinced his mom to buy a gun for him. Hilton told investigators there wasn't a fight or even a disagreement between him and the two victims that day. Days before Hilton was charged, he posted on Instagram with lyrics to a graphic and disturbing song about murder. Better run or you about to meet my gun. Is so fun. Records show the friend hid in the bathroom and called 911, saying he heard gunshots and other people were inside the home. He says Hilton walked by the bathroom crying, stating, "What have I done?" Court documents reveal the victims had gunshot wounds to their heads and a revolver was found on the table. Fascinated with and outspoken about wanting to murder. That's how 17-year-old Connor Hilton is described in new court documents.
So it says the 17-year-old posted his $1 million bond and was released from jail, but was then rearrested on Christmas after his charge was upgraded to murder. The DA's office says his new bond hasn't been set because he has yet to appear before a judge. Wow, this guy sounds like a sociopath. Gotta say, man, we breed them here. Crazy, crazy, crazy. He's talking about he just wanted to kill someone. God. See, I think they shouldn't show these people's names and faces because that's what they want. They want to be famous. You know, they should say unnamed person and don't put their picture up and just start making that the thing. But the media is not going to do that. They love clicks. They get paid off of it. So it's like, if it bleeds, it leads, you know, and these people want to be martyrs or whatever. I don't know. I can't really call them a martyr, but like they want to be famous or whatever, you know, and the media gives it to them. So that's like an incentive for them to do this crazy stuff. Comments, it says, what time are we going to pick up the mom though? Because ain't no way they bought the gun, then bailed him out. Right? I mean, if my kid did something like this, I'm going to be like, bruh, I mean, you did the crime. You got to do the time, man. I'm not fucking backing you up on this. You know, I have kids, and there's no way that, you know, if they did some horrible shit like this, I'm finna go bail them out of jail. I'm not. I'm not bailing you out of jail after you do this horrible stuff. Like, no, you finna sit there, you know, and whatever they decide to do with you, that's what the hell is gonna happen. Because I'm not helping you with this. Like, you know, I didn't raise you to behave this way. Like, no, you know. And I think that with a lot of these like mass shootings that happen, like the school shootings that happen, we need to start holding the parents accountable. If these people got the guns from the parents or whatever, the parents didn't keep the guns locked up, you know, or they gave it to them or whatever, knowing that the kid is, you know, shouldn't legally have a firearm, stuff like that, you know, hold the parents accountable. I think that will have an impact, because if the parents are worried about going to jail behind something that the kid did, then they're going to pay attention more. They're going to be like, you're not going to get me in trouble. I'm not going to jail for your ass. And they're going to pay more close attention to their child and what their child is doing and what weapons they have and all of that stuff. Hold these parents accountable. I don't know about this situation. I don't know the details of this particular situation. I'm just saying there has been some in the past that, you know, the parents were culpable easily and they didn't face any charges. That's something that needs to change. Another comment, it says, convinced his mom to buy a child a gun. What is wrong with these people? Another one, it says, update us when the mom is arrested and charged the same. Another comment, it says, posted $1 million bond. Yeah, man. So that's still a lot of money. I think it's 10%, right? So if the bond is $1 million, then they need to pay $100,000. The parents had $100,000 just sitting in the bank to freaking, they must have had to put their house up or something to get that money. Like, but then that takes time. So then I don't know, they must have had some liquid cash to go pay that. And then they probably would have to put their house up anyways, because they're going to be responsible for the rest of that bond. After my kid just did some crazy shit, ain't no way in hell. No way in hell. Yeah, even if I have the money, I'm not doing that. Another comment, it says, both need psychological support, help, and counseling. It says, charges mama too, because you know when your kid's not right. Shaking my head. Another one, parents need to start parenting again. Same person would never purchase a firearm for a teenager. I don't know if you can just say that. I mean, it's really kind of common here in the United States to buy, you know, guns for teenagers. But I'm against handguns anyway. So if I was to buy my kid a gun, it would be some kind of rifle, something for hunting or whatever, you know. And it's like not something that has like automatic freaking 1,000 bullets a minute it can project, you know. It's nothing crazy. Something that's, you know, that's good for hunting, you know. And I wouldn't get a handgun from them either, because I just don't like handguns. It's like they're used for shooting other people. Like, if you need some defense, you can get them some tasers. They have some really good tasers, you know, bear mace and stuff like that. Another comment, it says, give the mom 25 to life. And for him, Texas still gives the death penalty, huh? Just asking. We'll see. Another one, it says, charges mama too. She bought the gun. The mom whose son shot his teacher is going to jail, and so should this one. Could have been a whole school shooting about to occur. It says the mom whose son shot his teacher is going to jail. Which case is that? Another comment says, this isn't quite surprising. He was given so much freedom and different treatment than other perpetrators. Another one that says his mom should go to jail for actually getting him the damn gun. Everyone is saying that. You know, I don't know if it's that straightforward, you know, just getting your kid a gun, you know, is good enough for them to take, you know, the mom to jail. I don't know about that. But, you know, I don't know. We'll let the courts decide. This is that same one. It says the Justice Department threatens to sue Texas if it enforces a law making it legal to border entry, a state crime. Biden administration on Thursday warned Texas that it will sue the state if it implements a strict immigration law known as SB 4 that would empower the state and local law enforcement officials to arrest, jail, and persecute migrants suspected of entering the U.S. unlawfully. What I really don't like about this is it's like inherently racist, because they can just look at someone and say, oh, this guy looks like an illegal, and that gives them the right to pull them over. You know, that's a problem. You know, I think that, you know, based on the color of their skin is how you're determining if you think they're illegal. So, but you got illegal Africans, you got illegal Russians, you got illegal Ukrainians, you got illegal, I don't know, Scandinavians, you name it, or whatever. So just looking at someone is not good enough for you to just determine that they are possibly illegal. You know, I guess you could say because you're in Texas or whatever, that it's most likely to be a Hispanic person that's coming through the border through Mexico and Texas illegally. But that's actually not true. I covered a story not that long ago where they were showing people from freaking Turkey coming through the Mexican-Texas border into the United States. People from all over the world. So yeah, you can't look at them and determine that they're illegal. I mean, if you saw them cross the border, then that's different. But if they're over here already and they're in a car or something and you just look at them, you're like, oh, I think they're illegal. Let's pull them over. Comment, it says, I thought entering the U.S. illegally was a crime in itself. Well, it is. But the thing is, it's a federal crime. It's the federal government has a jurisdiction over this particular thing. So Texas is, you know, superseding the federal government, which is not how things work. You know, there has to be a system in place, a hierarchy in place, and states deal with certain things and the federal government deal with certain things. You know, so if the federal government decided to deal with state matters, then people would be upset. So, but people are okay with the state dealing with federal matters because it's a situation that they agree with. But the law is the law, and the way the Constitution is set up is the way the Constitution is set up. So you can't pick and choose which ones you think are, you know, proper and which ones are not. Might as well just throw the whole Constitution away. Another comment says, illegal border entry is illegal. That's a crime. True. Another comment says, why is the Biden administration fighting for illegals more than American citizens? Please explain. It's not that. It's that, like I said, the federal government has jurisdiction over these matters, not the state. Another comment, it says, good job, DOJ. Immigration is a federal matter, not a state matter. The governor of Texas did not have the grounds to put this law in place. So this is what I'm saying right here. You know, you can agree with it or disagree with it, but the law is the law. You know, we all are subject to the way it's set up. If we want to change the law, then we go down the process of doing that. But we can't just supersede what is already there and the way things are set up to work, how things are set up to work. It's a reason why things are set up the way that they are set up.
At the southern border. Right now, a massive convoy of migrants is making its way through Mexico and towards the United States. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas traveled to Mexico City today. They met with Mexico's president to discuss ways to stem the flow of migrants coming into this country. Mexico's president says he is willing to help, but wants the U.S. to address the main cause of the problem by improving relations with Venezuela and Cuba. He also wants more money for development in the region. Border security agents, aid groups, and local communities are stretched thin with a near record number of asylum seekers approaching the U.S.-Mexico border every day. Thousands of migrants, most from Central and South America, are part of the latest caravan moving through southern Mexico. The crisis at the southern border. Right now, a massive convoy of migrants is making its way through Mexico and towards the United States. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas traveled to Mexico City today. They met with Mexico's president to discuss ways to stem the flow of migrants coming.
So they met with Mexico's president. So Mexico is like, we're going to help you with this, but
into this country. Mexico's president says he is willing to help, but wants the U.S. to address the main cause of the problem by.
So they're saying, Mexico is saying we'll help, but the U.S. has to look at the main cause of the problem, improving relations with Venezuela and Cuba.
Improving relations with Venezuela and Cuba. He also wants more money for development in the region.
Money for development in the region.
Border security agents.
So it's like the thing with Cuba, you know, we have embargoes on Cuba and Venezuela. And the Cuba stuff is really silly because it goes all the way back to the Cold War era. And like, it really just doesn't hold up to contemporary times at all, like in no way, shape, or fashion. Like it really doesn't make any sense at all. So, you know, allow Cuba to do its thing, and you probably have less people trying to come from Cuba to the United States. And similar things with Venezuela and other countries. You know, and as far as like giving money, I don't know how people feel about that or whatever, but you have to understand NAFTA and stuff like that, and the trade agreements that happen that hurt these places, you know, and benefit the United States. And it incentivizes people to come across. So like, you know, you want to build a wall, that's fine. You want to close the border, that's fine. You want to stop illegal immigration, that's fine. But, you know, people are going to continue to come even if you do all of those things, you know. So if you really want to address the situation, then you want to look at the root causes of the situation and deal with those and improve those situations. Then you will have less of a tide of people, you know, that want to come over. It's really simple, but it's like people want to kick the can down the road, you know, and, you know, make it about something else and not really fix the problem and just say, you know, stay in your own country. Well, then what about the American policies that lead to people want to come here, you know? The stuff that we do in their countries. It says, amid the crisis at the southern border, the largest convoy of migrants in recent months is en route to the U.S. Secretary of State Blinken and Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas visited Mexico to meet with the Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador to discuss matters related to the surge. Let's read some comments. It says, close the border and build the wall like our President Trump did. Stop the nonsense. Another comment, it says, I don't like Trump, but Trump is the only fixing this. Yes. Another one, it says, we need Trump back. Another one, it says, well, that's all Biden's fault. But wait, he's vacationing in St. Cruz. This whole administration is a disaster. Thank you, Democrats. Yeah, I don't think that you can really completely just blame the Democrats on this situation. American policy related to these countries have been similar throughout different administrations, you know, that has been in the White House. You know, I'm not trying to give Biden a pass. He definitely has, you know, dirt on his hands related to this topic, but it's not just him. So when you point fingers like that, then you kind of miss the whole thing. And it's just like up here where they're talking about build a wall. Like people want simple conclusions, simple answers to a complex thing. That it doesn't work that way. You can't have a simple solution for a complex problem. You need complex solutions, you know. It says they heard Trump hires them at all of his properties. Another one, it says, how much does Sleepy Joe expect the taxpayers to pay? You know, you don't necessarily have to just spend money. Like you don't have to give money to these people. It can go hand in hand. It could be companies making money too, you know, and still fixing the problem. Everybody can be happy if you just make proper policy choices on this matter. Another comment says, now after 3 years, you finally say it's a crisis. Another one, it says, they should be helping their people and not forcing us to help. I think we should help and improve relations with neighbors, but the migrants shouldn't have to be coming in the first place. Yeah, but we have to look at what we've done that has led to these situations in these countries. You know, what policies have we done that has led to these deterioration of these people's resources? Another comment says, what does Cuba got to do? Cuba will take care of themselves, but they have an embargo. You see, they drive, you know, it's famous for Cuba to be driving all these really old cars. Why are they driving these old cars? Ask yourself that, you know, and then start going down that road, and then maybe you'll come up to some conclusions to realize what the hell, how much influence what America has done has led to Cuba being what Cuba is today. And what freaking threat is Cuba to us anyways? What problem do we have with them? Ask yourself that, you know, other than their people coming over here. Another comment says, and from Africa and Cuba, who fly from Africa and Cuba into Latin American countries, catch a prearranged prepaid taxi to the next northern country, get dropped off into Mexico, and then journey continuous to the USA-Mexico border. This happens. So it's not just people coming from South and Central America. They're coming from all over the world, and that southern border is just that, you know, crossing point.
Growing fears of a widening conflict in the Middle East. An Iranian-backed paramilitary group launched new drone strikes against U.S. forces in Iraq. And it comes just days after the U.S. hit key targets in that country in retaliatory strikes. President Biden facing increasing pressure to deter these threats. ABC's Terry Moran in Washington.
Tonight, renewed concerns of a wider war in the Middle East as Iran-backed rebels launch another drone attack on U.S. forces stationed at Erbil Air Base in northern Iraq. The attack is the latest of the more than 100 incidents where Iranian-backed groups have targeted U.S. troops with rockets and drones since the start of Israel's war against Hamas. Just this week, President Biden directed U.S. forces to carry out multiple retaliatory airstrikes on Iranian-affiliated militia groups in Iraq, who hours earlier launched self-detonating drones that left 3 U.S. service members injured, one critically. In response, Houthi rebels in Yemen, backed by Iran, fired on more commercial vessels in the Red Sea, according to U.S. Central Command. U.S. warships in the region shot down 12 drones and 5 missiles over a 10-hour period.
The United States has pushed forces to the region to try to deter the war in Gaza from expanding. Of course, that also gives our adversaries, especially Iran and their proxies, more targets.
President Biden's calculated response to all these attacks on U.S. forces in the region have so far failed to stop them, raising the stakes in what has become a shadowy showdown with Iran over U.S. support for Israel against Hamas. The dangerous instability seemed to spread farther over the weekend when a chemical tanker was struck by an Iranian drone 200 miles off the coast of India.
Terry Moran back with us now. And Terry, how is the U.S. trying to manage this delicate balancing act as more troops come under attack throughout the region?
Well, Whit, the administration is trying to build an international coalition to protect commercial shipping through that crucial Red Sea trade route, while at the same time increasing the use of force against the Iranian-backed militias without triggering that wider war. It's a real challenge, and right now it's clear President Biden would prefer to err on the side of caution. Whit?
Terry, thank you. Growing fears.
He didn't say much. Triggering a wider war is what we're looking at. And why do we have people in Iraq? Why do we have service members in Iraq? Why do we have a base in Iraq? What is going on with that? Why? How is that related to what's happening in Israel and Hamas? You know, I don't get it. You know, that's kind of crazy, right? It says new drone strike on U.S. forces in Middle East renews fears of wider conflict. So that headline kind of it's misleading because they're talking about attacking U.S. forces who are in Iraq. They're saying Middle East, so it's the wider region, true, but you automatically start thinking about Hamas and Israel. But Iraq is not Israel. You know, it's not there. Let me read this. It says new drone strikes from Iranian-backed militias on U.S. forces overseas have renewed fears of a wider conflict in the Middle East as President Biden faces pressure to deter threats in the region. Yeah, so, and also this kind of solidifies the little clip that we played earlier, that tanker that got hit. They showed the clip in this clip too. So that shows that that was real and actually happened. They said something. What did they say?
Raising the stakes in what has become a shadowy showdown with Iran over U.S. support for Israel against Hamas. The danger stability seemed to spread farther over the weekend when a chemical.
That's that tanker, the chemical tanker right there. That was
100 miles off the.
It was on fire.
Moran back with us now. And Terry, how is the U.S. trying to manage this delicate balancing act as more troops come under attack throughout the region?
More troops come under attack throughout the region. Why do we have all these troops over there anyways? Like, it's giving them targets. That's basically what he's saying. You know, if we wasn't over there, they wouldn't be able to target U.S. troops. And then with the media covering it this way, it sounds like Iran-backed Houthis or whoever is attacking the United States. Like, you know, and it gives the United States a reason to go in and, you know, so now it's not like they're defending Israel. It's like they're defending themselves. Man, this is a mess. This is only going to get worse. This is escalating. Let's read some comments. It says, I don't want to hear it's not all bad. The Middle East just effing sucks. No redeeming value anymore. Just filled with hate and anger, turning into a bed of glass. Words like that is comment right here says, why the F are we even there? See, that's what I'm saying. That's the question to ask. Why are we in Iraq? I thought that whole thing was over. It's a meme here of a Trump statement. It says, we will plant beautiful American flag very soon on the surface of Mars, which I got started. What? How does that relate to this topic? It says, maybe because the U.S. helped kill 20,000 civilians. Another comment, it says, bring our troops the F home, get out of them people countries. Another comment, it says, despite what the White House says, we cannot afford another war. Also, if there's another war, there will likely be a draft because military recruitment is far below target. I don't know that they can actually do a draft. I mean, people are going to push back on that heavily. So, but anybody who's active, enlisted, you know, you guys get your boots ready. And even the ones who are reservists, you might want to get your boots ready too. That's what it's looking like. Another comment says, given the 20K civilians and 8K children have been killed by bombs supplied by the United States, yeah, you're asking for it. Another one, Israel and Zionists are not going to stop until they drag this country into a war. There's no turning back. And they don't care about us. They don't care about United States or United States citizens or anything like that, you know? And then it's going to be our people that's going to die. Let me read another comment. It says, I wonder why we are being attacked. Could it be because we are sending bombs and other weapons to slaughter civilians in Gaza and the West Bank? The region is fighting back because we are the oppressors. Shame on the U.S. I'm tired of this topic. I ain't gonna lie.
Be a tragic update in the search for a pregnant woman in Texas. The family of 18-year-old Savannah Soto says she and her boyfriend, Matthew Guerra, were found dead yesterday in a car outside a San Antonio apartment complex, 3 miles from Soto's home. But police are not yet confirming the identities of the victims.
It appears to be a very complex crime scene.
Soto, last seen near her home Friday, was 9 months pregnant and 1 week past her due date. Her family says she was scheduled to be induced at the hospital Saturday, but never showed up.
When I called her all morning, she wasn't answering. It was going straight to voicemail. And we went to the hospital anyways, and she was a no-show. And that's when I called the cops. She was so excited to have this baby. I mean, the house is already baby ready. She was so excited. She was going to be a mommy.
Officials releasing few details, also not confirming how the victims died.
But what we're looking at right now is a very, very perplexing crime scene. And detectives right now are looking at this as a possible murder. And but we don't know for sure.
Officials did say the bodies appear to have been inside the car for 3 to 4 days. According to court documents, Guerra was on probation for allegedly assaulting Soto on Christmas Day last year. What appears to be a tragic update in the search for a pregnant woman in Texas. The family of 18-year-old Savannah Soto says she and her boyfriend, Matthew Guerra, were found dead yesterday in a car outside a San Antonio apartment complex.
The internet is all over this one because there's so much weird stuff. There's a lot of there's videos floating around, like there's a video that shows like another car pulling up to their car, the one where they found them passed away at, and they think that those people might have something to do with it. And like this is just like a weird little thing that happened. Like the internet is curious and doing, you know, their thing. Anyways, let's read this. It says a pregnant teenager who disappeared just before she was scheduled to be induced and her boyfriend are believed to have been found dead following a days-long search, Texas police said. Yeah, so they were missing for a while because they were in that car, obviously not alive, you know. And the way it looked initially was like maybe a murder-suicide type of deal, you know, but that's not what happened. It says the two bodies were found in a vehicle in San Antonio, Texas. The San Antonio police chief said, calling the case very, very perplexing. Detectives say they are looking at this case as a possible murder, but that they don't know for sure. A possible murder? Like, what else could it be if it's not a murder, if these people are dead? You know, like they were shot, right? Like, how could it be a possible murder and they don't know for sure? Like, what other scenario would it be? Comment, it says, and the baby. Sad. Another one says, sounds like a murder-suicide type situation. Yeah, that's what people were thinking initially, but it's looking like it's not that. Because if it was that, then they would have said that. Because it's easy to see that when you see the scene. Like if they come up on the scene, they find the bodies, and they just do an initial investigation, they could see if it was a murder-suicide type of situation. But I don't think it was that. And like I say, there's a video that shows a car pulled up to their car, and those people in that other car probably killed them. Another one, it says, this family has had their share of tragedy. This young woman's brother was murdered in 2022. He was 15 years old. What are they involved in? You know, I think that's what this kind of points to. It points to something that these people were involved in to cause the situation to happen the way it did. You know, some kind of crime, gang activity, you know, drugs, something. Comment, it says, don't get pregnant by a gang member. And if he was smart, he would have left that behind once he heard he was having a baby and moved somewhere else. So maybe he was trying to get away from it and settle down. And you know what they say, blood in, blood out? It's like sometimes you can't get out. You know, once you're in it for life. Like these people not playing, you know, they don't care that you can try to settle down and you have a wife and you have a baby coming and stuff. Like, it's not how the game go. Another one that says he assaulted her and yet she still stayed with him. Shaking my head. Another one that says, why aren't they confirming? They keep posting the same thing over and over. Give that family some clarity. Yeah, there's something fishy with this. Is why they can't say for sure about whatever the hell. It says 2 bodies were found, 3 murders committed, should be in the headlines. It says, why do they say 2 people died? The baby died as well. Another one, it says, so I was just watching the investigation ID, the feds, the FBI talking about the infiltration into the county of the MS-13 gangs directed from El Salvador, where they are directed to kill people. Is that what's happening in our country? It happened in Texas already. Is that what's happening again in our country? Another one says, probably best for everyone. That's sad. You know, the whole thing, maybe it's over now because whatever it was, it's over. It's probably nobody to retaliate now. Another comment says, Latinos are being attacked in this country. By who? Other Latinos? Another comment says, here comes all the investigation discovery fans to lend their expertise to the case. I know that's what's happening on the internet for this particular one. Another one says, I read the man was a drug dealer and was abusive to her. Both found shots seems to allude to they were targeted and murdered because of his drug dealing. Beyond tragic. Yeah. Got wars going on the streets. You know, and this kind of stuff is what we should be focusing on instead of what's happening on the other side of the world. Yeah, Gaza media office, 80 bodies returned, had their organs stolen. Do I want to cover this? Al Jazeera says the government media office in Gaza has accused Israel of stealing organs from 80 Palestinian bodies returned earlier in the day at the Kerem Abu Salim border crossing. The media office denounces in the strongest terms that Israel occupation army disdain for the dignity of the bodies of our 80 martyrs that Israel has stolen during its genocidal war because it delivered them mutilated, a statement said. After examining the bodies, it is clear that the features of those killed had changed greatly, and a clear indication that the Israel occupation had stolen vital organs from them, the statement went on to say. The media office said this is not the first time Israel has mutilated Palestinian bodies and called for an independent international investigation into the taking of Palestinian bodies and theft of organs. Israel has previously exhumed graves in the Jabalah and stole some of the bodies in addition to the fact that it still has dozens of bodies from Gaza Strip in its possession, the office said. Ugh, this makes me want to freaking throw up. What good are the organs after that? You know, like if they're, you know, I don't see what use do they have with the organs. Can they use them after they've been dead and whatever? I know about this case a little bit because Israel was like, they wanted to determine if some of the hostages had died. So they wanted to ID the bodies. And that's the reason why they confiscated the bodies so they can ID them and figure if it was any of them were hostages. But then when they gave the bodies back, apparently they were missing some organs. Like, what the hell were they going to do with the organs? Like, are they useful? Help me understand, y'all. I figure, like, for you to be able to use an organ, it needs to be, like, recently before they die. You know, they died recently or they haven't died yet. And then you got to keep the organ chilled and all of this and go through these medical procedures to be able to use these organs. Or is it just mutilation just for the sake of that? What a terrible story. That makes me want to throw up. Let's cover this. This is what I was looking for. I was looking for this. It says new Texas law starting January 1st, 2024. This is relevant because January 1st is right around the corner. What is it? Tomorrow. It's New Year's Eve. New Year's Day is coming, and these laws are going to go into effect. And like some of this stuff, a lot of the people have been preparing for already. Like one of these is going to be the diversity, equity, and inclusion thing that happened. And like in my university, they already closed the office and all of that stuff. So like what happens is they get prepared for this before it actually goes into effect. so that they won't have to worry about dealing with it when it actually does go into effect. Let's read this. It says, a new year always brings new changes. These are some of the new laws taking effect on January 1st, 2024 that you should know about. So SB 17, diversity, equity, and inclusion, bans diversity, equity, and inclusion offices at public colleges and universities. Yeah, so that law says they can't have diversity, equity, and inclusion offices at public colleges and universities. I don't see why anybody would have a problem with DEI, but whatever. HB 1595, it says funding for UH and other schools, establishes Texas University Fund with millions of dollars to support research at qualifying universities, including UH, Tech, Texas State, and UNT. Whenever I look at this stuff, I always wonder about, like, the funds are never distributed fairly, and the schools that they choose to send this funding to is, it's always the same names, and I wonder why that is. There's a whole lot of universities in Texas, but this kind of funds like this always goes to the same schools. It's good. It's good that they're giving funding to these schools for research and whatever. I just wish that they would spread the money out a bit. So HB 4758, e-cig advertising restrictions, makes it a misdemeanor to advertise e-cigs to young people by featuring cartoon characters, celebrities, or food on the packaging. I'm willing to bet that this was pushed by the cigarette companies. They keep it going at them in a lot of ways. And you know what? People were quitting. I know people myself that has quit smoking cigarettes using the e-cigs, the vapes. And they use the vapes, and it is getting them off of cigarettes. And I think that the cigarette companies have a problem with that, and that's why they're doing this kind of stuff. So, cartoon characters, celebrities, or food on the packaging, yeah, fuck that shit. Whatever. I'm cool with that. Whatever. But I think that, what they're doing is causing problems for these e-cigarette companies because it's getting people off of cigarettes, and it's affecting their profit margin, these cigarette companies. Even though I know that a lot of these cigarette companies own some of these electric cigs and these vapes or whatever, but they don't own all of them. And it's like, I wonder, how come they don't have like an e-cig that's just oxygen, Wouldn't that be cool? Like some flavored oxygen in a little vape, and you just like puff on oxygen. Wouldn't that be cool? I think that, the healthy stuff is always a problem. We used to have these oxygen bars all across Houston, and, they clamped that shit down and closed all of those, and that was a healthy thing for people to do, instead of the hookah bars are what's blowed up now, and that's what everybody is doing. That stuff is not good for you, all of the positive stuff, the stuff that's healthy for you, they freaking push against it. Now I know that they have those oils in these vapes that are really bad for your lungs. A lot of them are worse for you than the cigarettes, but they do have others that are just water vapor and don't have any negative impacts, and they actually have positive impacts because they're getting people off of smoking. HB 2323, Texas, Our Texas, requires DMV to issue special edition license plates featuring the official state song title, Texas, Our Texas, and the dates 1994 to 2024 in celebration of the 100th anniversary. Okay, whatever. HB 3186, Intervention for At-Risk Youth, requires justice and municipal courts to establish a youth intervention strategy for children accused of certain fine-only offenses. This is good right here. This is good. I like this one. Requires justice and municipal courts to establish a youth intervention strategy for children accused of certain fine-only offenses. So if it's like not so serious offense, then they need to it says establish intervention strategy. So basically trying to keep them from going down that road of, you know, school to prison pipeline and their life going into a bad direction, and hopefully redirect them. So sending funds to help these kids that are doing minor offenses instead of locking them away and throwing away the key. This is good. I like this one. SB 10, cost of living adjustment for retired teachers, gives members of the Texas Teachers Retirement System a cost of living adjustment between 2% and 6%, depending on when the teachers retired. 2% and 6%. I wonder how much difference does that really freaking make? And I bet you this is way behind and late as hell. I mean, it's good, but probably little and late. I don't know why they don't want to pay teachers, especially in this state. It's crazy. HB 796, tax appraisal database, requires local governments to create a searchable online database to help taxpayers look up info about property tax protest hearings. This is really good too. This is really good because this situation is so full of red tape and bureaucracy. You have to go down there to the office, and you know, the information, like, you got to know what you're doing to get anything done down there. Like, you want to go down to the house, the appraisal district. My daughter's mom used to work at the Harris County Appraisal District, so I know a little bit about this situation right here. So creating a searchable online database is going to make it a whole lot easier for these people. They're going to have the information that they need. They're probably still going to have to go down to the office to dispute and all of that stuff, but they'll show up with more reliable information and stuff. Like, this is something that should have been done a long ass time ago, and we're way behind when it comes to this kind of thing. And this makes me think about yesterday, I don't know, the other show I was talking about having a health database where people's health history is on a national database that doctors can access, and they can write on the chart on that database, and all the other doctors can look at that. And that will be very useful in knowing the history of the patients, as far as what drugs they've taken in the past, what surgeries they've had, what conditions they actually have, you know, what diagnostics, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyways, it would be great. And I don't understand why we don't have that already. You know, it's crazy. Misdiagnosis, you know, the prognosis that these doctors have, you know, they're going off of what the patients tell them, and the patients aren't that reliable a lot of times. They ask them questions and they say something different, different charts. That's why it's really important for people to have the same doctors. Those people who have the same doctors from when they were a kid and they grow up, those people have an advantage over a lot of us, because those doctors have your chart from all that time and they know your medical history. So, but for the rest of us who don't, these doctors are going in blind and making decisions, and it just don't make no sense why we don't have a national database for that. HB 4500, online health system. See, damn, this is what I'm kind of talking about. It says requires some health benefit plan insurers to create an online system that will help physicians quickly look up if a patient is covered by an insurance plan. So this one is about the insurance. I'm talking about the medical history. Why don't we have a database for medical history? So it just shows what they really care about if they have some damn insurance. I mean, but this is good, don't get me wrong, because they can, you know, the patient may not know that they're covered. It be situations like that all the time where the patient may think they don't have an insurance and they do, and the healthcare folks can look on a database and pull it up, you know. So then it's all about money with this. So then, oh, let's order this procedure, or let's order this this test or whatever. They're covered. Shit, it shows right here. Boom, order this test, go. And then when they look on the database and they find that you're not covered, they're gonna be like, yeah, we'd like to do this or do that, but you're gonna have to pay out of pocket. How are you gonna pay for this? Let's read some comments. It says, good, get rid of DEI and hire people based on qualifications and not because of the color of their skin. Whatever, man. Make me freaking throw up. There's a reason why they came up with the diversity, equity, and inclusion thing in the first place. If there wasn't a problem, then they wouldn't have ever come up with that in the first place. What problems do people have with diversity, equity, and inclusion? If your job only has people that look like a certain way or whatever, a certain gender or a certain ethnicity or whatever, you got to wonder, why is that the case? Nobody else of a different gender or ethnicity is qualified for that job. It's just so happened to randomly be that that's the case. Hire people based on their qualifications. Well, if that's what they were doing, then they would already have diversity, equity, and inclusion. But that's not what's happening. That's the reason why they had to do this in the first place. It wasn't that long ago here in the United States where they had to do the whole civil rights era, because you couldn't even go into a coffee shop or ice cream shop or a soda shop, much less get a job. Those people are still alive, the ones that was doing that back then. It wasn't that long ago, y'all. We haven't just fixed it. Like, racism isn't just over. It's not over. I think a lot of people don't even know they're racist. They're ignorant to it. Another one, it says, the first one has to be some of the dumbest shit I've seen in a minute. Another one, it says, SB 17 is the best one. Which one is that? They're talking about the DEI, huh? Yeah, of course. Another one, it says, excellent. The DEI initiatives have unfairly discriminated against Asian students in particular. Really? Another one, DEI is not just about race, it's about disabilities too. Yeah, that's what it is. And that's what people don't really understand. I mean, whatever. Y'all gonna feel how y'all feel. But look, all the comments are on this one. Another one, it says, DI is the white people grasping at the last little bit of control and power they have left, because God forbid anyone else get a fair chance at things that half of them don't even qualify for. But we know this country was only built for white people to succeed anyway. I was talking about the legacy students, because they kicked out, leading to this, the Supreme Court doing the affirmative action thing is what is leading to this situation. But then it's like talking about affirmative action, and then you talk about legacy students. People are okay with the legacy students, them having an advantage over other folks to get in at these universities, but they have a problem with affirmative action. Another comment says, that man y'all want to call a governor will never know peace and see the gates of heaven. Another one, getting rid of DEI is a survival tactic for white people being unqualified for anything. If America had done right by everyone since the establishment of America, this wouldn't be a topic. Hispanics, be careful. Soon as y'all raise y'all prices, how they treat y'all. Speaking of historical experience, watch how they treat you. Another one, it says, so what's wrong with the first one? Nobody wants to be treated fairly. Another one, it says, banning diversity and inclusion offices and taking care of our teachers are two laws I'm looking forward to in 2024. Another one, banning DEI is madness, but very on brand for Texas. Another comment, 1994 to 2024 is 100 years. What is that supposed to mean? Totally confused. What? I don't get it. That's the math ain't mathing. Let me read some more. It says, can we legalize weed in 24? Another one says, so much for the state that honors LESS. government intervention. Y'all choosing to intervene on things that make zero sense. DEI and e-cigs, license plates, bruh. So we can't have diversity initiatives on colleges or employer campuses, and the legal business entity can pick whoever they want to advertise their products. Didn't realize the state was responsible for parenting. License plates were more important than inclusivity. And for all of you saying that DEI had a negative impact, you clearly lack intellect. It's helped countless individuals with disabilities, disorders, and differences in race, ethnicity, religion, and gender find more inclusive workspaces. What could possibly be wrong with that? The whole goal is a diverse workspace and educational experience. So what can be around people, so that you can be around people who don't look like or think like you, which improves society. It says, we on to some backwards, divisive BS now. Get out and vote, because at this rate, we won't like what comes next. So sad. You know, diversity is good. It really is. You learn things that you wouldn't learn. That kid in the back of the class that asks a question that no one else in the class was going to ask, but that kid is not present in the class, so that question never gets asked. That dude that's working in the office that has a different point of view to deal with the problem that you have, he's not in the office. So that different way of going at it is not there. You know, there's lots of reasons to have people from different ethnic backgrounds and different, you know, whatever. It says the uneducated comments on this thread is heartbreaking. I agree. Totally agree. I'm going to get emotional, so I'm going to move on.
Those things, deploying gas.
Oh, I covered that. That was a weird little thing. I think I covered that anyways. That was a weird episode. Freaking, why did they need the jaws of life to get that guy out of the 18-wheeler? That was so weird. Let's play this clip anyways.
Things, deploying gas, deploying less lethal, verbal commands, give him every option to come. He remained resistant the entire time, did not answer any commands or anything like that. So at some point, they had to physically position themselves as safely as possible to extract him out. They tried numerous things, deploying gas, deploying less lethal, verbal commands, give him every option to come.
It says, after 3 hours, SWAT teams pulled a driver out of the cab of an 18-wheeler that had stopped on the East Freeway. Excuse me. They shut down the whole freeway for this thing. And this wasn't, you know, I'm in Texas and I work right off of I-10. And, well, the traffic didn't back up to where I am. It was further out of town, but it's crazy. They shut down both sides of the freeway, and they had hell getting this guy out of that truck. I don't know why they had so much trouble. It was a really weird ass case. I'm pretty sure I covered this in the other show, so I don't want to waste time on this. Really weird thing. Oh, look at this. The last Dodge Challenger to ever be made was manufactured today. Whichever day this was. It says the very last Dodge Challenger with the current Hemi engine form was manufactured today, as the company will focus on electric architecture and reduce the carbon footprints of their cars. So I wonder if it's really because of green, going green is the reason why they stopped doing these cars, or is it because they was outrunning the cops and stuff? You know, I don't know. A lot of people I know had these cars. comments. It says, someone check on them Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit dudes. It says, electric cars reduce absolutely nothing. The batteries they use do more damage. You know, and we've covered it multiple times on this show, but electric cars are not the answer. The mass transit is the answer. You just got more cars on the road. You got more traffic. It's not helping anything. It's not improving anything. It's just like rebranding the same thing, making you feel better about it. Like I'm better than others because I'm driving an electric car. It's kind of like people using their reusable grocery bags. Like that's really having an impact on the environment. Like people using their metal straws or paper straws. Like that's really having an impact on the environment. Like people using their, what do they call them? The cups, the reusable cups, those metal cups, the Stanley cups or whatever. The impact is so minimal. If you wanted to have an impact, then you focus on the manufacturing. Why do we buy stuff and it's in a bag, in a box, in a bag, in a box? And then once we buy it, they put it in the bag. It's like this stuff don't have to be manufactured this way with so much waste. That's where you put the pressure on. You put the pressure on these corporations. Us as individuals aren't going to make a difference in all this garbage that's being created in the environment. They try to push the blame back on us, saying that if we just reduce the amount of trash we create, then we could save the damn world. It's like, get all the way the F out of here with that bullshit. Look at these corporations, make them manufacture things in a better way, biodegradable, less packaging. Like, it's really simple. And now that's going to have an impact overnight. Whatever, call me crazy. Comment, it says, they been stopped making demons. It was a 1-year run. Why y'all lying? It says, I bought a TS for real. Look on my story like that ass. It says, no, I don't got enough bread for my Hellcat yet. It says, this is literally the downfall of Dodge. I don't think so. They'll be all right. It's another one that says, this is the last day Dodge had balls, RIP. No clue how you go from making top-of-the-line monsters to soy boy go-karts. This new age woke thing is a cancer, and it's sad to see it affecting our cars now. Cars are going out, bro. Cars are on their way out, okay? That's the reality. Mass transit is the answer. The mass transit is the future. It just makes sense. It's 2:09. They took that dude's page away.
Biden personally authorized these strikes on Christmas night, destroying 3 facilities linked to the group Kataib Hezbollah, the Hezbollah Brigades, an Iran-backed paramilitary group in Iraq. It comes in response to a series of attacks from that group on Americans in the region, including one just hours before on Christmas when a self-detonating drone struck a U.S. base in northern Iraq, injuring 3 service members, including leaving one in critical condition. The White House says President Biden was immediately briefed on that attack and ordered these strikes in response, which specifically targeted areas used by the groups for drone operations. There were no reports of civilians impacted, according to U.S. Central Command. The Pentagon says that since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war, there have been at least 100 attacks on U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq and Syria. Administration officials saying this morning that if those attacks do not stop, they will continue. White House says President Biden personally authorized these strikes on Christmas night, destroying 3 facilities.
You see what they're doing. This is just like the lead up to the Iraq war. They just try to, the media coverage justifies, it's selling war to us, So we get to the point where we're like, we have to go. We have to send our troops. We have to fight. They're attacking us. We don't have no choice. We can't let them attack our people and not do nothing. Like, this is how it starts. Like this, little stories like this. And then they do more and more stories till it gets to the point where everybody's like, yeah, we got to go fight these people. That's what they're doing. They're in the process of selling you guys a brand new war. It says U.S. military forces carried out multiple airstrikes on facilities in Iraq used by Kataib Hezbollah and its affiliates on Christmas night, according to statements released by the Department of Defense. The Secretary of Defense said the strikes were carried out at a direction of President Biden in response to attacks carried out by the groups against forces in the region. One of those attacks was on Erbil Air Base earlier on December 25th, which resulted in injuries to 3 U.S. personnel. So yeah, 3 U.S. personnel got injured. So it's like, oh, we got to go blow up the whole freaking Middle East now. But then you don't ask yourself the question, why do we have troops over there anyways? Like, what personnel were they, you know? What is going on? We got a base in Iraq? I thought the Iraq war was over. See, first comment, it says, what the F is the U.S. still doing in that part of the world? But when you hear this story, you don't really, because they're glossing over that. All you hear when you hear this story is attacks on U.S. troops. It makes you feel like they're like attacking U.S. troops in the United States. It's like, what? Blow them to kingdom come. What is this?
Hunt underway for a Florida man opening fire at Paddock Mall hours before Christmas Eve. The shooting suspect, identified as Albert Shell Jr., wanted for premeditated first-degree murder and attempted premeditated first-degree murder. Watch this video of police marching in, securing the area, and asking people to take shelter in the stores. Police say the shooting killed 40-year-old David Nathaniel Barron, another woman surviving after a bullet pierced her leg. Oh my God! Soraya Williams says she was with her mother at Bath & Body Works when she filmed this video seconds after hearing gunshots.
There's no way that just happened.
This video showing shoppers barricading in stores.
We're on lockdown.
911 calls being made after multiple shots fired at the mall on Saturday.
We heard 2 shots, and everybody just rushed into our store and just like ran straight out through the back.
Jennifer Murdy was wrapping presents at the mall when she heard shots.
And I saw the shooter with the gun in his hand just fell to the ground.
Police now asking witnesses for help, offering a $5,000 reward for information about the suspect.
There was a lot of people here shopping at the mall, which means there's a lot of witnesses that could potentially help us bring this case to a successful resolution.
Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York. Overnight.
So it says police are looking for a suspect as well as a bystander who took evidence from the crime scene after a deadly shooting erupted on Saturday at an Ocala, Florida mall during the holiday shopping rush. The suspect, 39-year-old Albert J. Shell Jr., is wanted on charges of premeditated first-degree murder and attempted premeditated first-degree murder, police said. $10,000 reward is available for information leading to his arrest. So this guy is still at large. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Another reason not to go to the mall. I don't know. I like going to the mall, though. It says, thanks to Ron, these are comments. It says, thanks to Ron DeSantis and all the right-wing politicians that believe guns are more important than people. Maybe that's the point of these stories, right? It's to bring up the gun debate. Another comment, it says, pro-lifers start rallying to protect gun rights. It says Florida crime is rising under DeSantis. It says maybe another gang-related hit. That was kind of racist, I think. Well. It says more crime by a 13%er in a Democrat-run city. I hate it when they say these kind of comments. It says give them guns, no regulations, free gun state, or are we surprised? Some of these people are bots, I'm sure. It says U.S. should rank one of the terrorist country in the world. Why wasting life in this way? It says black supremacists. The hell? Florida again. Another one says there's a shooting. Quick, where's my phone to record myself? Another one says Ron DeSantis says the state is doing great. Really? Another one says, oh man, not again. It's like it's a Democrat-run city, but it's a Republican-led state. So what are you saying? Do I want to do this? I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to go yet, but I kind of need a break. Let's play this. This is funny.
Yo, this guy needs help with his car. I think he came from afar, like another state. I don't know, he just points at the stars. And the way that he talks is bizarre. Right in his lake, I know to make it a car. I don't know, look, it caught me off guard. Looks real strange in the dark. Look, it's here in the park. Bark! What the heck are you saying? Probably speaking Spanish. Oh my God, it's an alien. He's a foreigner, ain't he? No, not from Mexico, Brayden. He crashed his car on the pavement. Dummy, that's a spaceship. We found the location. Patience. Sneak in and take them. Retreat the spaceship with no hesitations. Don't let the locals know that we survey them. Often with forces, they make altercations. Good gracious, how did they make this? Go get my tools and in severe cases. Orders are nations made by aliens. Like Toyota. Dummy, that's Asian. Got him. What the heck are you saying? Those are government agents. Knock it off, he's a harmless Asian. We're preventing invasion. Stop illegal immigration. Right, oh, right. He's here for the taking. Stand back, we're protecting the nation. Please. You ain't no patriot. Oh, that's enough. You're men in black, okay, so what? You may have blasters, you got the ducks, but we got the tractors, we got the trucks. You dirty bastards better give up. Checking aliens and beating them up. Don't defy us, we're authority. Look, it's a trailer park, we don't give up. What? They fixed it. What the heck are you saying? Huh?
Thank you.
Don't let them escape you. Hurry now, for they take you. Uncle Sam, we're ready to face you.
Activate eraser.
Our memory's fading. Hey Joe, this guy needs help with his car.
This is really funny right here. I saw this post and I was like, I thought it was really, really creative. Like the time and effort they put in to put this together, like this probably took forever to put together, man. You know, I love creative stuff like this. Like this is great right here. We need more stuff like this on the internet. You know, we talked about in the show how like it was like these kind of like racial jokes that are going around the internet, but they're not coming from a like a hateful place. You know, it's all just jokes, you know, and we've gotten so sensitive, you know, cancel culture and, you know, all these culture wars that's going on. I think some humor with, you know, racial components in it is good. You know, I really do think so. Like, we've had it before in the past and it was fine. It's like somehow now with the internet, everybody wants to cancel everyone and get all mad when somebody makes a joke, you know. It's like, hey, it's freaking funny, man. And I think it opens up the dialogue for us to loosen up a bit and actually have real conversations about the topics, you know, instead of freaking being so rigid and angry and, you know, let's loosen up a bit. Supreme Understanding posted this. He says, way better than most of the alien videos people be sending me. They be dead ass serious too. Like, brother, did you know all of the guys were really Anunnaki who came to Earth to make us mine precious minerals from them? And I'll say, oh, really? You mean like the Europeans are still doing to our people in the Congo for the minerals used by the phone you're using? And they'll hit me back with pork eater blank face. It says, always thank you. This was perfect. This is really cool. I don't know if you guys could find this video and watch it yourself, because you really kind of got to pay attention and get into it to get. It's a lot of jokes in here and it's rapid fire. So, anyways, lighten up a little bit, you guys. Let's poke fun at each other a bit. It's all about where it's coming from. If it's coming from a hateful place, then, that's different. But, if it's not, then it's not. And we got to recognize and realize things for what they are. It says Lamborghini makes history by offering a 4-day work week without cutting pay. The Red Sea attacks bolster shipping company valuations by $22 billion. Houthi attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea have forced over $80 billion in cargo to be diverted and caused an oil price spike. It says Texans are clocking more work hours than people in any other state. We're a bunch of workaholics down here. Let's look at this. It says Denmark pays students $1,000 a month to go to university with no tuition fees. Let me read that again. Denmark pays students $1,000 a month to go to universities with no tuition fees. It says every Danish student receives about $900 per month under a scheme known as SU. Says the generous financial support does not have to be paid back even if students drop out, and the only major requirement for students to receive the full amount is that they do not live with their parents. Students receive the free funding for a maximum of 6 years starting at the age of 18. Those who are particularly successful are eligible to receive additional payments. Why don't we incentivize people learning more stuff here in the States? We're talking about communism and it's a handout and all of that. They didn't earn it, or people say I had to pay for college, so why do they get to go for free? I mean, like, at some point things can change. If they came out with a cure for cancer and you're like, oh, they shouldn't get it because I had a family member who died of cancer. So, like, your argument is silly. We should incentivize people learning more stuff. We want to have a public of people who know stuff. When you're in traffic and the car that's next to you don't even know how to handle their car, and you're like angry at them, but you don't want people to learn stuff. Like, there's so many benefits to having an educated public, that they don't want an educated public. Like, our school system is still set up to create factory workers, and we don't have any more factories. The benefits are endless, to have people that know stuff. The corporations don't want people to know stuff. They just want workers, just people who are smart enough to run the machines and to follow directions, but not smart enough to, organize themselves and, compete with the corporations. Comment, it says, this is how to help keep your country strong, having educated citizens. Boom, boom, boom. United States is falling apart, and I know a lot of y'all can agree with me on that. So, but the answer is education, bro. Like, that is the real answer. Like, people who know stuff. The less people we have that know stuff, the more our country is going to continue to fall apart. The more we're into these culture wars, the more the country is going to fall apart. The more we at each other's throat, most of us agree on stuff, whether we're Republican, Democrat, left, right. Most of us agree on the major issues. The media has us focusing on the little stuff that we disagree on. Keep us at each other's throats while they're leaving out the back door with the bag. Another comment that says, I lived in Denmark and did my master's for free while I was playing pro hockey. The only problem, I was paying 63% income tax. I would have rather paid 20% and pay for my own school. Another comment that says, move to Denmark. This guy's complaining about his tax and his income tax, but he was playing pro hockey and going to school, getting his master's for free. Like, this guy, that was a great life right there. Like, you're doing what you love and you get to go to school too for free. Like, you sound like you want even more. Like, you already living the life, bro. People over here in the States would love. Most of us work jobs that we hate because we have to pay bills. Maybe our tax rate is less, but we hate what we do and we have to do it, or we'd be homeless. People would love to go to school, but they can't. They got to pay bills. Another comment says, move to Denmark. Another one says, that's the opposite of America. It says, no taxpayers pay students. It says, wait, they get paid to go to school while we Americans struggle to pay for school. Another one says, yes, they will graduate in something that will actually help society, not from the colorful hair angry TikTokers university, and major in my pronouns is. Another one that says, that's an incredible support system for students. I heard a bell. Did I get a message from someone? I don't see nothing. It would be nice. I don't see it happening here in the States, but it would be nice. Another one says, great to encourage people to go to university so them stay in the matrix. Oh. Another one that says, we Americans should be ashamed. We are drowning students in debt. I mean, the establishment wanted it this way. Yep, we totally are doing that. You know, it's to the point where kids, they don't want to go to school. They don't see no incentive in it. They don't see no benefits in going to school, and I don't blame them. Arthur C. Clarke predicts the end of mankind and the rise of AI in 1964. In 1964, a renowned futurist and author Arthur C. Clarke made a bold prediction that humans are simply a stepping stone in evolution towards an inorganic, artificial intelligence life form. With the rapid advances in AI and machine learning today, Clarke's words are more relevant than ever.
Inhabitants of that future world won't be men or monkeys. They'll be machines, the remote descendants of today's computers. Now, the present-day electronic brains are complete morons, but this will not be true in another generation. They will start to think, and eventually they will completely outthink their makers. Is this depressing? I don't see why it should be. We superseded the Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal men, and we presume we're an improvement. I think we should regard it as a privilege to be stepping stones to higher things. I suspect that organic or biological evolution has about come to its end, and we are now at the beginning of inorganic or mechanical evolution, which will be thousands of times swifter. However, the most intelligent inhabitants of that future world won't be men or monkeys. They'll be machines.
I don't know if I agree with him, but that's really interesting to think about. And the evolution of AI is a thing. But I think at the end of the day, they're programmed, you know, and even if they're learning on their own, they're still limited by their original programming, you know, and as much as AI can do, there's always going to be jobs that can't be done by AI. I think AI is a tool to help us. I think that what will actually happen in the future is we're going to somehow be integrated with these systems, like bionic. What am I trying to say? Like cybernetic, like we'll be half, you know, half robotic and half human. Like I could see that actually happening. Like I think about the Borg from Star Trek, something like that, you know. I can see that happening, but I don't. He said biological evolution has come to an end. I don't think so. You know, I think biological evolution is going to continue forever. You know, but I think he's right in some instances as far as, you know, you already got Tesla. Elon Musk wants to get everybody to plug in and get the damn chip or whatever. And I think a lot of people are going to want to do that, you know. And I think there ain't no stopping that, you know. We have definitely crossed over into a new domain, you know, with the transgender stuff and with the robotic body parts and stuff. So us trying to define ourselves is where we're going to really, because it's already begun. We've already gotten to that point where we're having trouble defining ourselves, like, you know, what's a man and what's a woman, and, you know, what's alive and what's not, what's inorganic and what's organic, you know, like the lines are blurred, you know, what's intelligent and what's not, you know, what is intelligence, you know, how connected are we with each other and with the universe and with nature and stuff like that. I think that we'll find a lot of answers to stuff like that if we look at the Aboriginals peoples. And that's why it's so important that we preserve these peoples, because the answers to the questions of the future will be answered by those people, because they found ways to live in harmony with the earth. And somehow we've gotten out of whack and out of balance with the earth. And for us to be able to continue to survive, I think we're going to have to find balance again. And I think that we'll find the answers with the stuff that these people done. Because we're so far away from being in balance with the earth now that we don't know how to find our way back. But as long as we still have those people that are alive and they know the old ways, then we can go to them and we can find the answers that we're seeking. Call me crazy. Let's read some comments. It says, well, I wish these robots would hurry up about it. I'm tired of paying taxes. Another comment, it says, this is untrue. Our brain works in relation with genes, hormones, a body of organic needs, and the sensorial experience. Without it, machines are only pure logical computation, and they lack pulsions that guide and give coherence and enroute that computational activity. You know, there's arguments that, you know, that we don't really have free choice. Like all of our decisions are come from like chemical reactions, you know, in our brain or whatever, you know. There's an argument for that, you know, we think that we're having these like free choices, but you know, the way these chemicals interact with each other determine what we do and the decisions that we make and stuff. So I don't know. There's gonna always be a gray area with that though. Another comment that says, I think this video has also been generated by AI. That's funny. Let's see, do we have more? It says, homie knew he wasn't going to be around for the terrifying Skynet rule. Another one, it says, we live with AI for decades. They are improving fast, but are tools. What will be more necessary is the human beings get more human, improving empathy, for instance. Now try to explain it to Generation Z. I like this comment a lot. You know, we, instead of, you know, going in the direction that this guy is saying, we could go into being more human, you know, having empathy, you know, altruism, you know, caring for each other, taking care of each other, you know, loving each other, you know. That's what we can do. The computers, the AIs can never do that. You know, I think a lot of us have become robots already. You know, the zombie robot apocalypse has already happened. You know, we're being trained to be robotic and to put our feelings to the side and, you know, just making our decisions based on what benefits us, you know, and just go along to get along, just following orders, you know, like uh, the Idiocracy movie where you walk into the place, it's like a Costco that has everything, and there's a guy standing there. It's like, "Welcome to Costco. We love you," or "I love you," or something like that. And he says that to each person that walks by, and it's like that's robotic. You know, there's no real feeling there. You know, um, it works in certain ways because we feel special. It's like when you go to Chick-fil-A and the person says, "How may I serve you?" You know, whenever they say that, I'm like, I kind of get struck a bit. It's like, "How may you serve me?" Oh, you know, but it's robotic. It doesn't really have basis in, you know, truth or reality. And like, you know, they're just saying what they're told to say. You know, it's not that they really want to serve you, if you will. So we can lean in on the human aspects of each other and move away from the robotic parts of ourselves. And we could just use AI as a tool to help us engage with each other and love each other more and make us so we don't have to work so much and be away from our families. That's what happened with the pandemic, woke our eyes in a lot of ways about the work-life balance, you know, and people working from home and so forth and so on, and the commute, how much time we spend in the commute and how much time we spend away from our families, you know. We can restructure society where we're not stuck in traffic all the time, we're not working all the time, you know, and we're just exploring the world like a kid, you know, and like enjoying life and being creative and making stuff and building stuff, you know, because that's us as at our core, and robots are not that. Anyways, um there was some stuff I skipped that I wanted to cover. And it was something I didn't cover properly last night, but I don't remember what it was. I wish somebody could help me get back on track with that. Don't remember. The posts I did on Twitter are all old. Hold on, y'all. We could read some more articles. The one about, there was a video I shared with the group, and that was interesting. And let's see, do we want to cover some of that? Oh yeah, it was the stuff with the Texas laws and the immigrants. But I covered the shit I wanted to cover related to that. I did get to that. But there was a thing about the history related to, like, where is it? I don't see it. Hold on, y'all. It's 2:39. Where the hell are you, Doc? Let's see if I can find it here in my notes. What all did I cover? North Korean leader commander his country to prepare for war with the United States. Do we have that? Hold on. Kim Jong-un said he wants to prepare for war with the United States. Um, I'm losing y'all. I might just get out of here. Let's do this while I'm trying to get myself together. Hold on, they're not explaining it, and I don't want to read it. Another graphic video.
That's another nation constantly on the brink, North Korea. Their Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un has issued a diktat. He has asked the country to, quote unquote, accelerate war preparations. Again, the announcement came during North Korea's annual review. The Hermit Kingdom's leadership is looking back on all the work done in the past year. They're holding meetings to plan next year's budget and agenda. And this meeting is where Kim issued the war readiness order. He says the preparation is necessary because, and I'm quoting, because of unprecedented confrontational moves by the US. So he's citing American provocation for this military buildup. Here's our report.
It's a busy week in Pyongyang for the North Korean government. Senior leaders are pulling up in their Mercedes-Benz limousines. The cars are technically banned in North Korea because of sanctions imposed on luxury goods, but it seems they're easily available to the top North Korean officials. All these senior Workers' Party of Korea leaders are gathering in the capital for a year-end review. Every year, there's a plenary meeting of the party's Central Committee. This year is no different. The senior leadership has gathered to present their reports, and of course, praise the visionary policies of their supreme leader, Kim Jong-un.
Okay, I found what I was looking for. Let's cover a little bit of this before we get out of here.
Hey, Safer here, and of course race is a social construct. People aren't born trying to compete over who can run the fastest.
So yeah, I'm an anthropology major in school, and one of the things that attracted me to anthropology is when I read that they said race is a social construct. Now I realized that anthropology had like racist birthplace. Like when it started out, it was trying to justify slavery and white supremacy and stuff like that through what they call scientific methods or whatever. But anthropology has grown over time, and where they are now is they're saying race is a social construct, and that really attracted me a lot to it. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about how the idea of race even formed. This important topic is probably getting demonetized as a result. YouTube doesn't like difficult history, so don't forget, I've got a Patreon. Plus, this episode is sponsored by Historic Mail, a weekly primary source letter service. More on them after the intro. Anyways, race is not as simple as epidural coloration or any phenotype for that matter. After all, there's such a thing as albino black people, mixed race people, entire religious and linguistic groups defined as races, light-skinned Asians, dark-skinned indigenous Europeans, and the entirely wonky American idea of Hispanics. In fact, Latino, La Raza, Mestizo, Chicano, and whatever other names for non-indigenous Latin Americans pretty clearly show that race is not based on any kind of biology. Hispanic simply means that they have a Spanish last name, and no matter how dark their skin is, as in how mestizo or mulatto a Hispanic might be, they are counted as white on the census and always have been, despite a long history of racist discrimination against them. These racial borders are easily crossed and don't
That's super interesting how, he said they are counted as white in the census. They're the same people that get, racially stigmatized and, treated differently as a other.
even precisely map onto skin tone nor anything deeper than that. After all, I do not become a different race by getting a good tan. Race is not biologically derived, and indeed has a history to its social construction. Oh, for the love of Cleo, not right now, Crypto. Please.
Somebody wants.
Oh.
I don't know how much that he plays, but
Still popular today with racists like Crypto here. None of that is science at all. It's just you trying to prop up your hatred with a bunch of BS. You're so far behind on the science that scientists came together in 1950 to put your nonsense to rest. They counteracted all of those lies, clearly stating scientists have reached the general agreement in recognizing that mankind is one, that all men belong to the same species, Homo sapiens. It is further generally agreed among scientists that all men are probably derived from the same common stock. The likenesses among men are far greater than their differences. To most people, a race is any group of people whom they choose to describe as a race. Thus, many national, religious, geographic, linguistic, or cultural groups have, in such loose usage, been called race. It would be better when speaking of human races to drop the term race altogether and speak of ethnic groups. Given similar degrees of cultural opportunity to realize their personalities, the average achievement of members of each ethnic group is about the same. For all practical social purposes, race is not so much a biological phenomenon as a social myth. Now, UNESCO has repeatedly affirmed and updated that statement for decades. Race is not based on biology. That is an outright myth that racists spread without any science to back them up. One so easily disproven that it's laughable these talking points are still popular. Race is a social construct, an abstraction created through the collective imagining of a larger group of people. Now, that doesn't mean that race is non-existent. Society itself is a social construct, and society obviously exists. Obviously, the racialization of people implies there is a history to that category. No matter the fact that it's artificial, it still exists, and society must deal with its legacy. We as a society created it, constructed out of whole cloth. Nonetheless, it's still here. That's why we cannot become colorblind, at least in our lifetimes, nor within our children's. And if you truly cannot see color, then you need to have your driver's license revoked immediately. Race will remain a pertinent category of social division and restitution. Race is a harmful concept, but it is here and we must accept that its usage has consequences.
And what is a cishet white man doing speaking for the oppressed affected by racialization? You only benefit from white supremacy and can never truly understand the lives of the marginalized. Shut up.
You gotta love the idea of silencing people speaking on racial issues because of their race. Somehow that's racial justice, right? Nah, that's pretty racist to begin with. At least with Crypto, he isn't pretending. You, on the other hand, are still trying to be self-righteous and perpetuating racism anyways. Cheka's sanctimony helps no one. And don't forget, by decree of King Richard I, well,
bigots get banned.
Bigots get banned. Furthermore, we can learn about one another and our experiences, no matter how alien they may seem. That's literally what a historian does. We're required to be open-minded and receptive to others' experiences. Remember, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. You're just segregating history, and who can write it, you bigot? Furthermore, white supremacy doesn't uniformly benefit white people, as we will see. It's awfully telling that woke scolds like Cheka have turned that into an oppression Olympics, but they miss the entire point. If anything, as a white man, I'm the very face necessary to show how racialization works, because it is those with a similar complexion that have constructed this system in the first place. It's not a black and white issue. There can be an unlimited number of races, and in fact, there have been very different categorizations, including many contradictory ones that we currently apply. That's what this episode is about.
I love how he has an empty liquor bottle on his shelf, on his bookshelf back there. that liquor is gone.
How Western society racialized. A somewhat comprehensive definition of race is a major division of humanity displaying a distinctive combination of physical traits transmitted through a line of descent. Now, we'll actually find out that it doesn't actually require specific physical traits, but it is always thought to have been handed down as a line of descent. As such, that form of categorization did not appear until the 15th century, and the first writers to use the word race in that specific context was Francois Bernier in 1684. You see, there's a difference between all the different types of ethnocentrism. Tribalism isn't necessarily nationalism, and nativism isn't necessarily racism. It's kind of surprising how many people try to defend these types of bigotry, do so by pretending prejudice has no history. There are very real differences as categorizations have grown more complex. Racialization is a distinct historical process. It has a story to it with consequences. This episode is
basically, it was created over time, and we have come to understand it based on the things that has happened historically. Like, there was a benefit for it to be created.
Ultimately about how race became a thing, as in how society constructed the ideology behind this abstract category. This episode is sponsored by from Europe to escape the Nazis. Winston Churchill apparently wasn't very good at drawing, but apparently that a lot of American society was at the time. So think how cool it would be. The first law designating race came 2 centuries prior to that, during the final part of Spain's Reconquista. Race took many forms throughout the years and continues to change. It could refer to language or religion, arguing that people native to those constituted a distinctly separate people without overlap, despite readily apparent synchronicity between them. Then ethnicity, as in common cultural background, was argued to be inborn rather than learned. This allowed rich elites to argue that they were a substantially different race than their lower class subordinates.
And that's the point right there. And that's where we are still today. You have the people who feel like they are different, like, some people aren't human and some are, and some people are born to rule others, to be rich and comfortable, and the rest are born to be workers. And it's really sad how many people fall into that belief system. Even the ones who don't benefit from it, believe in it. And they're like, there's nothing I can do. I was just born to be a freaking worker bee. But that's a construct to benefit the powers that be, to benefit the elites, so that things don't change, so that they can keep their money in power, and regular folks can never be in the position that they're in. They don't have the proper bloodline.
These non-phenotypical racializations influence color-delineated race from the 1680s onward. Even today, whiteness is a contested category that defines all else and has always been thus. Toni Morrison argues that whiteness is a blank slate that is default for humanity's imagination, hence why color is used to categorize others and marginalize them. There are many claims to what makes whiteness.
Says color is what they use to marginalize people. Toni Morrison.
But they inevitably define other races. It took half a millennium to develop this racism. Before racialization, there were clear forms of bigotry that placed one's own tribe or society as superior to all else. Later races.
I really kind of wanted to get. He did a really Bacon's Rebellion. He did a little synopsis of that, and it was really funny. Kind of wanted to do that, but I don't know if I'm gonna do all of that. I think oh, it's right here. It's right in here. So let's do a little bit more before we get out of here.
In 1880, Portuguese slave traders were regularly sailing their shackled cargo across the Atlantic.
Because the part where he said in 1865, there was no such thing as white people. Where is that?
That would inform racialization. Columbus's colony enslaved many indigenous Caribbeans and even sent a few back to Spain. The monarchy forbade further enslavement of New World inhabitants in 1512, but created other systems to coerce labor instead, such as the encomienda and later repartimiento, though Indian slavery continued to play a role for centuries. Neighboring Portugal had been setting up forts along the African coast that became sites for trading slaves. They completed the first voyage across the Atlantic with African slaves in 1526. By 1580, Portuguese slave traders were regularly sailing their shackled cargo across the Atlantic, what would become known as the Middle Passage. That same year, Spain united with Portugal for a few decades, placing both forms of bondage into one system. The Inquisition had also spread across the Atlantic in 1571, so their ideas of blood impurity began to be applied to African slaves and indigenous converts. This racialization brought a new system of legal supremacy to the Americas called casta. It strictly delineated levels of racial mixture throughout the Spanish Empire based on blood corruption away from Christianity. But they also started racializing around language. This language basis of race came because French and English speakers were starting their own New World colonies. As such, both of those languages started importing Spanish racism into their own. Vestiges of both the religious and linguistic forms of racialization remain in English today, but one further form began half a century later, which was based on color. As one historian wrote as far back as 1944, slavery was not born of racism, rather racism was the consequence of slavery. By the mid-17th century,
racism was the consequence of slavery.
There was still no such category as white, black, red, or whatever color people you want.
Wait, that's
the
part I wanted to focus on.
But one further form began half a century later, which was based on color. As one historian wrote as far back as 1944, slavery was not born of racism, rather racism was the consequence of slavery. By the mid-17th century, there was still no such category as white, black, red, or whatever color people you want. As Theodore Allen writes, when the first Africans arrived in Virginia in 1619, there were no white people there, nor, according to the colonial records, would there be for another 60 years.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear that. Yeah, so there wasn't no white people.
The white race was invented as a ruling class social control formation in response to labor solidarity. The invention of the white race came in response to
It said it was a response to labor solidarity, and he's going to go into the Bacon's Rebellion. We'll play that little clip, and then I'm going to get out of here.
events in 1676 Virginia. Before then, there had been many mentions of skin color, but not as a form of racialization. But when peasants, indentures, and slaves joined together under the persuasion of Nathaniel Bacon to rebel against the colonial government of Virginia and attack nearby tribes, the local colonial government needed a means to divide and conquer, halting any such solidarity from forming again.
By the way, here is a fun summary of Bacon's Rebellion made by Drawn of History, with a familiar voice for Bacon.
Hey, Governor Berkeley, do us a solid and kick the Indians off the good western land. Aha. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. I live in the Tidewater and not some cement parking lot. This is not a problem that concerns me. And if you don't like it, take it up with the House of Burgesses. Oh yeah, you turds can't vote.
I have a plan. You should wage war against those Indians.
Nathaniel Bacon? Aren't you part of the elite yourself?
Yes. Well, I brought booze.
All right, we massacred the Indians. What's next?
I don't know. Burn down Jamestown?
Brothers, I vow to you here and now, we will build a new Virginia, where the common man, and myself, will rule, never again oppressed by the... my stomach feels weird.
Did he just poop himself to death? Yes, he did.
Be sure to check out Drawn of History for more hilarious stuff.
Their solution was color racialization. They separated the classes by opposing Indian, white, and black, relying more and more heavily on slavery instead of indentures from then on. And no, Irish indentures were not slaves. That's just false. Prior to this, racial laws oriented around linguistic definition. For instance, there was a 1664 Maryland Act that punished freeborn English women who married enslaved Africans. After Bacon's Rebellion, Maryland would be the first to use that category of white in a 1681 law. Color racialization began in the late 17th century, but it took time to catch on.
Okay, so that's the point right there. It's like you had solidarity with the, workers, poor folks, common man, and these were all different racial, makeups or whatever. And that was a problem. So they had to separate them, and that's when they came out with it based on color. And that's also when they started using, instead of using indentured servants, they used, chattel slavery. And that's how you put it in a situation where you can identify who's a slave by just looking at them. And that from then on, you didn't have any of the worker class, coming together to fight against the elites. So that's been the point of it. And that's pretty much where we stand today. It's still the same. That's how they separate us to this day. If people would just look past these silly, phenotypes and look at the class struggles, look at your neighbors, the ones who are going through the same thing as you, and have some solidarity with them, then you're going to beat them easily because you outnumber them, so you're going to have more power. But you divide and conquer, so you have these people fighting against each other based on some phenotypes, and therefore you can rule them forever. And that's where we are today still. I hope people understand that. Anyways, I gotta get out of here.